Chapter 40. Although Tang Yuan was dissatisfied, he did not dare to go against the First Elder's wishes. He had made a huge mistake in this mission, resulting in his current situation. He originally thought that this mission would be very easy. After he completed it, he would be able to leave a good impression on his father. At the same time, he would be able to befriend the Second Elder and the First Elder, completely suppressing his second brother. Now, it seemed like all his hopes were dashed. He could only hope to bring the little spirit fox back and see if he could make up for his mistake and reduce his punishment to the lowest. The blue-clothed man looked at the departing group with a strange expression. It was as though he already knew that Tang Feng would make such a decision. He withdrew his smile and said, "First Elder, follow me back." "Senior Lung, you right? Go back," Tang Feng said in astonishment. The blue-clothed man said coldly, "That nine-tailed spirit fox is just a spent force. It will not have any combat strength left after a while. I do not wish to let the Shao clan people off so easily." Tang Feng's brain could not process what the blue-clothed man was trying to do. "Since that is the case, why did you ask Tang Yuan and the rest to leave?" The blue-clothed man smiled. A group of martial masters would not be of much help even if they stayed. It would be troublesome if they were discovered by the Shao clan. It would be better to leave as soon as possible. Actually, the blue-clothed man did not intend to let the group of people leave alive. This group of people brought along their cubs and would soon be caught by the six-tailed spirit fox. At that time, there would be no chance of survival. This group of people only had one purpose: to lure the six-tailed spirit fox away. They would not let the berserk six-tailed spirit fox find the blue-clothed man. The berserk six-tailed spirit fox was already a martial king. The blue-clothed man did not want to clash with it. He only hoped that they could lure it away for as long as possible. Just at this moment, the roars of spirit beasts came from behind them. The blue-clothed man looked at the spirit beasts behind him. They were 5-rank 4 spirit beasts, purple arm apes. Earth Dragon Wave. The blue-clothed man snorted coldly. Suddenly, a ripple appeared on the ground. It spun slowly like a spiral, like a swimming snake. Boom! A huge earth dragon broke out of the ground. Its surging energy shattered all the rocks on the ground. It roared angrily and swung its tail violently at the 4 purple arm apes. The 5 purple-armed apes couldn't dodge in time and were all hit. The power of the dragon's tail instantly sent them flying. Then, the dragon's head charged forward, and the 4 purple-armed apes couldn't get up anymore. "Let's go." Looking at the dumbfounded Tang Feng, the man in blue said indifferently. The two of them walked away quietly, completely unaware that Shao Chen's divine sense had already seen everything. By changing the way he used his spiritual sense, the range of his detection doubled. Shao Chen inadvertently scanned this group of people. Withdrawing his spiritual sense, Shao Chen was astonished in his heart. The strength of a martial saint was too horrifying. He defeated 5-rank 4 spirit beasts in an instant. After informing Xiao Yulan, Shao Chen immediately left the encampment and chased after Tang Yuan and the others. Currently, the strongest person in this group was only a martial master. Furthermore, they were all injured. What Shao Chen wanted to do now was to snatch the infant of the 6-tailed spirit fox. The offspring of the 6-tailed spirit fox were naturally rank 6 spirit beasts. When they grew up, they would not need to evolve to have 6 tails. There was a cultivation method for demonic beasts in the Compendium of Cultivation. It should be able to be used for spirit beasts as well. A spirit beast that was naturally ranked 6, with the help of the Compendium of Cultivation, would definitely be of great help to Shao Chen. This was a reason why Shao Chen had to snatch the infant of the 6-tailed spirit fox. Furthermore, he had the spirit blood jade. After he snatched it, he could instantly seal it and hide the aura of the infant, not fearing the revenge of the 6-tailed spirit fox. After Shao Chen left the encampment, he immediately used the gravity spell and slowly flew up. He did not dare to fly too high, as there were many flying spirit beasts in Sevenhorn Mountain. Because the gravity spell was too slow to execute, its usefulness in actual combat was greatly reduced. However, it was very useful for traveling. Xiao Chun locked his spiritual sense on Tang Yuan and the others as he slowly followed them. In his spiritual sense, Tang Yuan and the others were already entangled by a group of rank 4 spirit beasts. Xiao Chun also felt a strong aura in the distance, rushing over with all its might. It should be the six-tailed spirit fox that had already gone berserk. After traveling for a few more minutes, the figures of Tang Yuan and the others finally appeared before Xiao Chun's eyes. Xiao Chun, who was in the air, quietly stopped on a tree branch, observing the group of people below. Of the 7 of them, aside from Tang Yuan, who was a superior grade martial disciple, the other 6 were medial grade or inferior grade martial masters. The group of spirit beasts surrounding them were 3 rank 4 blood wolves. A rank 4 blood wolf was equivalent to a martial grandmaster. It was only a matter of time before these 7 people were defeated. Even if they could defeat this group of blood wolves with the speed of the six-tailed spirit fox, they would be able to catch up. At that time, they would die even more miserably. Xiao Chun just had to wait patiently for an opportunity. He did not need to take too much risk. "First, young master, you should leave first. We will hold them off," one of the 7 people said. Tang Yuan had been waiting for these words. After saying these polite words, he immediately turned around and left with the infant spirit fox in his arms. The opportunity had come. Xiao Chun grinned. His body swayed gently in the air as he quietly followed. Tang Yuan ran down the mountain with all his might. Looking at the infant spirit fox in his embrace, he felt helpless and unresigned. If it were not for that strange person, he would not have ended up in such a situation. Boom! In the dark night, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed in front of him. Tang Yuan was startled and quickly retreated. He thought in fear, could it be him? After the lightning faded, Xiao Chun's figure slowly appeared. He looked at Tang Yuan with a smile that was not a smile. "Young Master Tang, long time no see." When Tang Yuan saw Xiao Chun's appearance clearly, he said in disbelief, It's you, Xiao Chun. How is it possible?" "Hand over the infant six-tailed spirit fox," Xiao Chun said coldly, ignoring Tang Yuan's astonishment. Tang Yuan was stunned for a while before he suddenly laughed loudly. "You hid your strength very well. All of us misjudged you. However, I hate people like you who like to hide their strength the most. Do you want this infant spirit fox? I will kill it now, and none of us will get it." Tang Yuan seemed to have recalled something extremely painful. He raised the infant spirit fox high up in the air and ruthlessly threw it to the ground. So, a strand of purple flame spun a few times on Xiao Chun's fingertip and shot towards Tang Yuan. In the blink of an eye, the purple flame arrived in front of Tang Yuan. Tang Yuan was startled and held the infant spirit fox in his embrace again. He extended his right palm and used his essence to form a small essence shield. Chi! The flame was like an awl as it easily pierced through the essence shield in Tang Yuan's hand. After that, it drilled into his arm. Tang Yuan cried out miserably as his right hand was quickly burned to ashes. The spirit fox in his embrace also fell to the ground. Xiao Chun shouted and stomped on the ground. He flew up and kicked Tang Yuan, sending him flying. Then he extended his hand and caught the infant spirit fox. "Don't kill me, don't kill me." Tang Yuan, who was lying on the ground, looked at the ferocious Xiao Chun and begged for help. He no longer had the guts he had earlier. Leaving such a person alive would be a disaster. Naturally, Xiao Chun would not let him off. Xiao Chun flicked his finger, and the purple thunder true fire shot out. In the next moment, Tang Yuan was struck by the purple flames. Before he could even cry out, he was burned to ashes. Looking at the ashes on the ground, Xiao Chun withdrew his gaze and looked at the infant spirit fox in his embrace. Its snow-white skin was not tainted by any dust. With its eyes closed, the spirit fox looked like a peaceful kitten. It was extremely cute. This little fellow did not know that its mother had gone crazy because of it. Xiao Chun felt that it was a pity. He took out the spirit blood jade and bit his finger. Then, he dripped a drop of his blood onto the spirit blood jade. Xiao Chun immediately felt as if a trace of his soul had been extracted and poured into the spirit blood jade. Xiao Chun was slightly astonished. Nature was truly a work of the gods. Such a miraculous item could be formed naturally. Recollecting his thoughts, he followed the method that Xiao Yulan taught him and made a small cut on the infant spirit fox. The spirit fox's blood also dripped onto the spirit blood jade. Jia! The little spirit fox woke up from the pain and struggled to jump out of Xiao Chen's embrace. Before it landed, a strong suction came from the spirit blood jade and sucked the little spirit fox in. Xiao Chen sent out a strand of spiritual sense into the spirit blood jade. After it entered, an empty space appeared in front of him. The little spirit fox stood quietly in the air. The wounds on its body had already healed. It opened its eyes and looked around curiously. Xiao Chen withdrew his spiritual sense. Before he could do anything, a strong aura came over. In the dark night, a resplendent light appeared above Xiao Chen, suppressing Xiao Chen's aura. He did not dare to make any moves. Bang! The light landed on the ground, and a 10-meter-tall, six-tailed spirit fox appeared in front of Xiao Chen. Its 6 white tails were at least 20 meters long, pointing straight towards the sky. Its eyes were bloodshot as it stared at Xiao Chen. An overwhelming, baleful aura came from the 6-tailed spirit fox. Under this pressure, Xiao Chen found it difficult to breathe. His forehead was filled with sweat, and his hands were trembling nonstop. Why did they come so quickly? Xiao Chen looked at the 6-tailed spirit fox in astonishment. These 6-tailed spirit foxes came at the wrong time. Ayo! At the critical moment, the blue dragon martial spirit in Xiao Chen's body let out a long, drawn-out cry. The might of a holy beast burst forth and blocked the soaring, baleful aura. Xiao Chen finally regained his ability to move. Just as Xiao Chen was preparing to retreat, the huge 6-tailed spirit fox suddenly collapsed. With a loud boom, it broke countless trees and kicked up a large cloud of dust. Haha, this beast is finally out of strength. Elder Tang, go and deal with that Xiao clan brat and take revenge for your young master. This old man will deal with these 6-tailed spirit foxes. The blue-clothed man chased after the aura of the 6-tailed spirit foxes and laughed loudly. Tang Feng snorted coldly and did not say anything. He stared at Xiao Chen. He and the blue-clothed man had just arrived when they saw Tang Yuan dying at the hands of Xiao Chen. If it were not for the blue-clothed man holding him back, he would have rushed over. Chapter 41. Hu Qi. Just as the man in blue was about to make his move, a flying saber pierced through the air and flew towards him. The essence on the flying saber created a shockwave in the air. In the dark night, one could even see the sparks from the intense friction. The expression of the man in blue did not change. He looked at the glowing flying saber and circulated the essence in his body. A few stone lines gathered on his right hand and flowed into it, spinning continuously. Within the whirlpool, a rock shot out and accurately struck the flying saber. There was a loud explosion, and the flying saber and the rock both shattered into pieces, scattering in all directions with the shockwave. Seeing Lu Fenglin walk out from the darkness, great waves appeared in the heart of the man in blue. Since when did Mo City have another martial saint? Could it be that the clan's information was wrong? However, he soon calmed down. This was because he discovered that the old man in front of him was only an inferior grade martial saint. As for himself, he was already a medial grade martial saint. At their cultivation realm, the difference of 1 grade would mean a huge difference in strength. Unless the other person had a divine weapon or a high-ranked martial technique, it was only a matter of time before they were defeated. Who are you? Do you also have designs on these 6-tailed spirit foxes? Do you know the principle of first come, first served? After he saw Lu Fenglin's cultivation realm, the tone of the man in blue was no longer polite. Lu Fenglin smiled coldly and said indifferently, "First come, first served? I only know that those who are capable get it. I have never heard of this principle of first come, first served." This Lu Fenglin had only become a martial saint at the age of 60. His talent could only be said to be average. Many years ago, he already knew that he would not be able to make any progress in his cultivation realm. If he wanted to improve his strength, he could only think of other methods. This 6-tailed spirit fox in front of him was a good opportunity. After he subdued it, it would be of great help to him. Furthermore, with his status in the Xiao clan, He believed that after weighing the pros and cons, the Shao clan would definitely make Shao Chun hand over the spirit blood jade. Regardless of whether he was willing or not, the Shao clan would not offend a martial saint for an inferior grade martial disciple. The expression of the man in blue turned cold, and a gleam flashed in his eyes. He smiled coldly. "You are just an inferior grade martial saint, yet you speak so arrogantly." Lu Fenglin faintly smiled and casually pointed. "Look over there." The person in blue followed the direction of his finger, and his expression changed greatly. Tang Feng, who was originally prepared to deal with Shao Chun, was now dealing with the attacks of the 3 martial grandmasters of the Shao clan in a sorry state. As for Shao Chun, he had already dodged to the side, calmly watching the battle. With 3 martial grandmasters fighting Tang Feng, there would not be any mishaps. Tang Feng's defeat was only a matter of time. At that time, when the 3 of them worked together with Lu Fenglin, even if the blue-clothed man was a medial grade martial saint, he would not be able to gain an advantage. The man in blue quickly thought of a countermeasure. A moment later, he made a decision in his heart. With a shout, he stomped his feet on the ground, and rocks appeared under his feet. The rock under his feet moved at a rapid speed. The rock was like a living creature as it twined around his legs. The speed of the blue-clothed man suddenly increased explosively. In an instant, he had arrived in front of Lu Fenglin and fiercely kicked him. Bang! 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 At the same time, there were 3 explosions behind the blue-clothed man. 3 earthen dragons burst out from the ground. They roared angrily and rushed at Lu Fenglin, sealing off all his escape routes. Lu Fenglin did not have an overly flustered expression on his face. He had already expected that the person in front of him would not give up so easily. He was constantly on guard against the sudden attack of the blue-clothed man. Lu Fenglin sent out a palm strike and blocked the kick of the blue-clothed man. Using the rebound force, he leaped into the air. Countless flying daggers appeared around him, spinning rapidly. Dance of 1,000 blades. The spinning flying daggers carried a huge amount of energy. They gave off a whistling sound, and a tornado tens of meters tall suddenly formed, blocking the 3 earthen dragons. The flying daggers spinning in the wind caused thousands of holes to appear on the gray bodies of the earthen dragons. For a moment, the 2 of them were in a deadlock. The 3 earthen dragons circled around the strong wind. Occasionally, they would collide with the wall of wind intensely. The countless flying daggers on the wall of wind continuously exhausted the energy of the earthen dragons. The tornado that suddenly appeared and the circling earthen dragons formed an intense wind current. Gusts of wind spread out in all directions. The surroundings of the 2 martial saints were instantly filled with sand and rocks, and a strong wind howled. The first elder, Shao Chong, led 2 martial grandmasters to deal with Tang Feng. The situation was very relaxed. However, if they wanted to completely defeat Tang Feng, they would still need a period of time. After all, a martial grandmaster was not easy to deal with. Shao Chong glanced at the battle between Lu Fenglin and the blue-clothed man from the corner of his eyes. He could not help but feel a trace of worry in his heart. The 2 of them seemed to be equally matched and were locked in a stalemate. However, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Lu Fenglin was at a disadvantage. If Lu Fenglin was defeated, then the 3 of them would not be a match for the blue-clothed man. Tang Feng clearly understood the reasoning behind this. Hence, he expended his essence without a care for his life. He executed all sorts of martial techniques nonstop in order to delay the 3 of them. Only when the blue-clothed man won would he have a chance to live. The battle in the arena entered a strange situation. As long as one side could finish the battle quickly, the other side would immediately be defeated. Amidst the weak balance, everyone present had forgotten about Shao Chun, who was quietly standing at the side. It was a very simple logic. No one would believe that an insignificant, inferior grade martial disciple would have the ability to interfere in a battle between a martial grandmaster and a martial saint. However, was the situation really like this? Seeing Tang Feng bitterly holding on, the corner of Shao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. His spiritual sense locked onto Tang Feng's body. The essence in his body was continuously exhausted, and the lightning descend spell was ready to be unleashed. Boom! A bolt of lightning that exhausted half of Shao Chen's essence descended from the sky. The thunderous lightning lit up the dark night like it was daytime. The instant the lightning solidified, everyone's expression turned sluggish. Tang Feng, who was in a bitter battle, did not notice the lightning that suddenly appeared. After the light dissipated, the dark night arrived once again. The lightning that only existed for an instant gave people a feeling that it was unreal. However, Tang Feng, who was completely charred and had black smoke coming out his head, felt very real. Attack! The first elder, Shao Chong, was the first to react. He sent a palm strike at Tang Feng's body. The two people beside him quickly made their moves. Another two sharp attacks landed on Tang Feng's body. Shao Chong turned his head and looked at the calm Shao Chun. There was a trace of confusion in his eyes, but he quickly withdrew his gaze and said, "Go and help." With Shao Chun making his move, the situation of the battle instantly turned around. Lu Fenglin led the three martial grandmasters to surround and attack the blue-clothed man. The blue-clothed man looked at Tang Feng's corpse hatefully, feeling extremely dissatisfied in his heart. At this moment, there was no longer any chance of victory. The blue-clothed man was a decisive person. After he blocked the attacks of the four people, he immediately retreated. Lu Fenglin looked at the unconscious six-tailed spirit fox on the ground, then looked at the nearby Shao Chun. He said to the first elder, "Chase, he is not injured now. He can sneak attack us at any time." Indeed, the sneak attack of a medial grade martial saint could instantly cause three martial grandmasters to lose their combat prowess. At this point, Lu Fenglin did not dare to be careless. After all, the body of the six-tailed spirit fox was so huge. Even if Shao Chun wanted to move it away, he would not have the ability to do so. Killing it was even more impossible. He was the only one here. If the six-tailed spirit fox died, everyone would know that he was the culprit. Without any worries, Lu Fenglin did not hesitate to lead the three of them to chase after the blue-clothed man. He did not hope to kill him, but he wanted to make sure that he did not have the ability to attack again. As Shao Chun watched the three of them leave, he slowly walked towards the six-tailed spirit fox on the ground. When Lu Fenglin left earlier, the threat in his eyes was very obvious. Thinking of Lu Fenglin's attitude, Shao Chun felt indignant. He snorted lightly. An inferior-grade martial saint. He is just a consecrator of my Shao clan. Yet, he does not care about me at all. The moment he opened his mouth, he asked for the spirit blood jade. Now, he even dares to threaten me. This young master will not do as you wish. Focusing his gaze on the six-tailed spirit fox, Shao Chun saw that its body was covered in horrifying wounds. Some of the horrifying wounds were even visible to the bone. These wounds should have been left behind when the six-tailed spirit fox fought with the blue-clothed man when it was weak. After it went berserk, it overdrafted its life force, causing its injuries to become even more severe. This was once a rank 6 spirit beast, an inferior grade martial king. Now, it was in such a miserable state. Shao Chun felt that it was a pity. Even though they were animals, the relationship between mother and child was very sincere. Shao Chun thought about the cute little fellow in the spirit blood jade. If it was not for this little fellow, the absolute king of Seven-Horn Mountain would not be in such a sorry state. Shao Chun measured the size of the six-tailed spirit fox. After he understood, he aimed the universe ring in his hand at the six-tailed spirit fox on the ground. With a so sound, the six-tailed spirit fox entered the universe ring. The spatial rings of this world could not contain living things. However, the universe ring was different. If the spirit beast was unconscious or willing to enter, as long as it could contain it, there would not be any problems. Lu Fenglin, who had left, did not expect that Shao Chun would use the universe ring to bring the six-tailed spirit fox away. Otherwise, even if he was beaten to death, he would not have let Shao Chun stay where he was. Shao Chun extended his spiritual sense to investigate his surroundings. He discovered that the surrounding spirit beasts had mostly dispersed. This should have something to do with the six-tailed spirit fox fainting. After he figured out the direction in which Lu Fenglin and the others left, Xiao Chun withdrew his spiritual sense and swallowed a qi returning pill. Then, he headed in another direction and continuously used the lightning evasion. After 10 claps of thunder, Xiao Chun was already 1,000 meters away. Seven-Horn Mountain was only 3,000 meters tall. The place where Xiao Chun stopped was halfway up the mountain. He rested for a while and waited for his essence to replenish. Then, Xiao Chun found a hidden cave and stopped. He released the six-tailed spirit fox from the universe ring. Xiao Chun muttered to himself, "Just treat it as me repaying my debt of gratitude. I snatch away your child for nothing. I cannot watch you die like this. Furthermore, I will not let Lu Fenglin snatch you away. At that time, your fate will be even more miserable." Chapter 42. Lu Fenglin led the first elder and the other two and chased after the blue-clothed person anxiously. However, the blue-clothed person's speed was incomparably fast. The rocks around his feet twisted and turned continuously, allowing him to move as though he was flying. Not long after, they left the sight of the group. Everyone could only helplessly give up on the chase. Under Lu Fenglin's lead, they hurried back. "What's going on? Why did the six-tailed spirit fox disappear?" Lu Fenglin said in astonishment as he looked at the empty ground. "Where's Xiao Chun? Where did Xiao Chun go? He must have secretly taken the six-tailed spirit fox away." The six-tailed spirit fox had disappeared, and Xiao Chun could not find it. Lu Fenglin immediately thought that Xiao Chun might have taken the six-tailed spirit fox away. Then, he felt that something was wrong. The six-tailed spirit fox was over 10 meters tall. As an inferior-grade martial disciple, Xiao Chun would not be able to take it away without leaving a trace. When Xiao Chun heard Lu Fenglin's reprimanding tone, a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. This Lu Fenglin was too arrogant. No matter what, Xiao Chun was the second son of the clan head. How could he, a consecrator, speak to him in such a manner? Hiding his emotions, the first elder carefully observed his surroundings. He discovered that there were no traces of the six-tailed spirit fox being dragged away. It was as though the six-tailed spirit fox had disappeared into thin air. After muttering to himself for a while, Xiao Chun said, "Elder Lu, the way I see it, the six-tailed spirit fox's disappearance is too strange. It is too early to conclude that it was taken away by Xiao Chun." The other two martial grandmasters looked at their surroundings and felt that it was very strange as well. This situation was unimaginable. One of them said, "Could it be that after the six-tailed spirit fox recovered from its injuries, it flew away with Xiao Chun? That's absurd. That six-tailed spirit fox was already severely injured. After that, it went berserk and exhausted a large amount of its life force. How could it recover so quickly?" Lu Fenglin retorted loudly. Xiao Chun stood with his hands behind his back and carefully observed his surroundings. However, he did not discover any clues. It looked like only Xiao Chun knew the reason for the disappearance of the six-tailed spirit fox. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun said, "The most important thing now is to find Xiao Chun first. No matter what, he is the second son of the clan head. If anything happens to him, we will not be able to bear the consequences. Now that the spirit beast rampage has stopped, I've decided to seal off the mountain immediately. There's no need to wait until tomorrow. If you run into any remnants of the Tang family, you can kill them on the spot." Lu Fenglin did not have any objections to this arrangement. He also did not know how the six-tailed spirit fox had disappeared. He could only find Xiao Chun first. 2 flowers bloomed, one on each side. At this moment, Xiao Chun was in the hidden cave, applying golden salve to the six-tailed spirit fox. This golden salve was given to him by Xiao Yulan previously, but he had never used it. Now it finally came in handy. Xiao Chun carefully applied the golden salve to all the wounds. The white medicinal powder gave off a sizzling sound as the skin of the unconscious six-tailed spirit fox trembled. After doing all this, Xiao Chun started to slowly infuse the essence in his body into the body of the six-tailed spirit fox. Streams of gentle essence silently nourished the severely injured internal organs of the six-tailed spirit fox. While Xiao Chan was concentrating on treating the six-tailed spirit fox, he did not notice that the originally unconscious six-tailed spirit fox opened its tightly shut eyes slightly. It had memorized Xiao Chen's appearance in its heart. After circulating the essence in the six-tailed spirit fox's body once, Xiao Chen discovered that the meridians of this spirit beast could be used to cultivate the cultivation methods recorded in the Compendium of Cultivation for Demonic Beasts. According to the Compendium of Cultivation, all living creatures with spirituality could cultivate. In the ancient legends of China, there were many famous demonic immortals. After hesitating for a while, Xiao Chen decided to teach the mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation recorded in the Compendium of Cultivation to the six-tailed spirit fox. There were very few records of demonic beasts in the Compendium of Cultivation. There was only the mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation. Following the circulation method of the mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation, Xiao Chen controlled his essence and slowly circulated it through the meridians of the six-tailed spirit fox. After an hour, the essence completed a small cycle according to the mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation. This was equivalent to leaving a circulation method for the essence in the body of the six-tailed spirit fox. After it woke up, it could follow the essence path that Xiao Chen left behind and cultivate by itself. Take it as compensation, Xiao Chen muttered to himself as he withdrew his essence. This mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation was a mysterious cultivation method left behind by the legendary demonic realm. Idiot, why are you still not leaving? This fox is about to wake up. Suddenly, a melodious voice came from the empty cave. Xiao Chen, who was deep in thought, was startled. He immediately released his spiritual sense and looked around. However, in the empty cave, aside from himself and the unconscious six-tailed spirit fox, there was no one else. Using his spiritual sense, he did not find anyone within a kilometer of him. Was it an illusion? It doesn't seem like it, Xiao Chen thought suspiciously as he looked around vigilantly. Idiot, stop looking, I am here. Under Xiao Chen's astonished gaze, a somewhat illusory figure of a girl slowly floated out from the universe ring in his hand. This girl looked to be about 14 or 15 years old. She wore red clothes and looked very cute. However, her body gave off a feeling of emptiness. Xiao Chen was stunned for a long time before he reacted. He asked, "Are you a human or a ghost? How did you come out?" Hearing Xiao Chen's question, a furious expression appeared on the girl's face. However, when this furious expression appeared on her adorable face, no one could sense any anger at all. "I am not a human or a ghost. I am just a sword spirit. Don't make such a big deal out of nothing. My name is Ao Jiao," the girl said with disdain. Sword spirit? Could it be the broken sword in the Thunder King's cave? Xiao Chen suddenly recalled that when he dripped his blood on the universe ring, he had heard a girl's voice. At that time, he thought it was an illusion and did not pay much attention to it. Just as Xiao Chen was about to ask a question, the infant spirit fox and the spirit blood jade suddenly leaped out and ran towards the unconscious six-tailed spirit fox. Xiao Chen was startled and was about to grab it back. "Don't chase after it. This little fellow has signed a blood contract with you. It will not get lost." Ao Jiao looked at Xiao Chen, who was preparing to make a move. After she spoke, she flew out of the cave. Although Xiao Chen was concerned about the infant spirit fox, he had too many questions about the sudden appearance of this girl, so he could only follow her. Outside the cave, the girl called Ao Jiao was not a girl. To be more accurate, she was a sword spirit. She had a grave expression as she looked up at the stars in the sky. It seemed like there was something she was chasing. Xiao Chen organized his thoughts. After he thought through the questions he wanted to ask, he stepped forward and said, "Who exactly are you? How are you related to me? You can tell me more clearly." Ao Jiao, who was floating in the air and looking at the stars, turned her head back. She did not answer Xiao Chen's question directly. Instead, she sized up Xiao Chen from top to bottom, like she was sizing up goods. Her eyes revealed an expression of dissatisfaction. Xiao Chun felt very uncomfortable being stared at like that. He said somewhat impatiently, "Hey, wimpy brat, can you not look at me like that? Answer my question. Where did you come from?" Ao Jiao frowned and clenched her right hand into a fist. She said ruthlessly, "Who are you calling a wimpy brat? You trashy master. Do you believe that I will throw you into the sea of skeletons to feed the zombies?" Trashy master? When Xiao Chun heard this, he thought about the clues he knew. This little fellow came out from his universe ring. The predecessor of the universe ring was the broken sword from the Thunder King's cave. Earlier, this little fellow said that every divine weapon would give birth to a weapon spirit. Sabers had saber spirits. Swords had sword spirits. Spears had spear spirits. Weapon spirits possessed intelligence, no different from humans. However, their personalities were different. When a divine weapon possessed a weapon spirit, it would truly possess spirituality. In battle, its might would also become even stronger. The broken sword in the Thunder King's cave seemed to be a divine weapon. However, due to some unknown reason, the sword was broken in half. However, the sword spirit within it was not destroyed. In that case, it was very likely that the situation was like this. When I forged the broken sword into a universe ring and refined it into a magic treasure, I unintentionally subdued this sword spirit and became its master. Thinking of this, Xiao Chun smiled to himself. Taking in a lowly sword spirit as a servant was not a bad thing. However, this fellow's attitude seemed a little off. "Hey, idiot, why are you laughing foolishly for no reason? Epilepsy?" Ao Jiao said suspiciously as she looked at Xiao Chun, who suddenly laughed. "Idiot? Epilepsy?" Xiao Chun nearly vomited a mouthful of blood. He said angrily, "I should be your master, right? Is this your attitude?" The corner of Ao Jiao's mouth curled up into a cold smile as she said, "Master, I was just about to tell you. Although I don't know how you became my master when I was unconscious, with your current strength, you are not even an ant in my eyes. Can you expect an elephant to have a good attitude towards an ant? Young man, this is illogical." "Ant?" Xiao Chun was somewhat annoyed. However, when he saw Ao Jiao's expression, he could not get angry. Even if this little girl was a poisonous snake with her cute face, it was impossible to be angry at her. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly. "In that case, Miss Ao Jiao, why did you suddenly appear? Is it just to look down on this trash of a master? I am just reminding you to leave quickly. That six-tailed spirit fox is about to recover. You have sealed her cub. If you do not leave now, only death awaits you. If you die, I will also be injured. So, quickly become stronger. Trash of a master, don't let a sword spirit live in fear. It is very embarrassing." After Ao Jiao finished speaking, she took one last look at the stars in the sky before entering the universe ring. No matter how Xiao Chun called out, she did not come out. Chapter 43. Although Xiao Chun could guess that the sword spirit Ao Jiao appearing out of nowhere was not as simple as she made it out to be, based on her current attitude, it was clear that she was unable to be honest with Xiao Chun. Furthermore, no matter how he called out, she would not come out. Xiao Chun could only suppress the doubts in his heart. Coincidentally, at this moment, the infant spirit fox ran back and entered the spirit blood jade. Xiao Chun turned his gaze to the entrance of the cave and sent out his spiritual sense. He saw the six-tailed spirit fox trying to stand up. In a short while, it would probably run out of the cave. Hurriedly withdrawing his spiritual sense, Xiao Chun executed the gravity spell and flew up. After flying for a long time, he found a big tree in the dark night and stopped on it. He sat down cross-legged and calmed himself down. After swallowing an essence-nurturing pill, Xiao Chun sat on this big tree and started to cultivate. The purple thunder divine incantation, which had already reached the second layer, circulated even faster in his body. The surrounding spiritual energy frantically poured into Xiao Chun's body. The thick spiritual energy in his body was like lead mercury, slowly circulating in his meridians. After a small cycle, it finally gathered in his dantian. Under the effects of the essence-nurturing pill, The amount of spiritual energy that Xiao Chan absorbed in a small cycle was more than double that of a regular cultivator. The blue dragon, which was surrounded by white clouds, opened its mouth and happily absorbed the huge amount of spiritual energy into its body. Immediately, the 3 white clouds floating in the surroundings became even more vibrant, and their color became even whiter. The blue dragon opened its mouth and spat out a stream of pure essence. After that, it entered his meridians and entered his flesh and bones, continuously nourishing Xiao Chen's body. Normally, a cultivator's cultivation focused on cultivating their spirit. That was to say, they would use the spiritual energy they absorbed to cultivate their martial spirit. As their martial spirit and cultivation realm increased, they would strengthen themselves. Xiao Yulan was a classic example. After continuous cultivation, her martial spirit had already reached a very strong realm. The poinsettia could turn into countless petals and poisonous gas, strengthening her combat prowess in battle. However, Xiao Chen's cultivation method was somewhat different. With the blue dragon martial soul absorbing the spiritual energy, he could use it a second time to temper his bones and flesh. This was also because he did not know the exact abilities of the blue dragon martial spirit. However, every martial spirit had its own distinct abilities. For example, the poinsettia was extremely poisonous, while Zhang He's Haoyan sword allowed him to unleash sword qi at the martial master realm. However, no one knew what specific abilities Xiao Chen's blue dragon martial soul had. Regarding this aspect of inheritance, it could be said that the Xiao clan had been completely cut off. If they wanted to rely on themselves to uncover it, it would not be something that could be understood in a short period of time. Concentrating and guarding his qi, Xiao Chan circulated the heaven and earth spiritual qi in his body for 49 cycles. The blue dragon martial soul in his dantian suddenly began to swell. This kind of swelling feeling did not cause him any pain. Instead, it made him feel extremely excited. Xiao Chan rejoiced in his heart. This meant that he was about to make a breakthrough. Xiao Chen's foundations were good in the first place. These days, he had been using the essence nurturing pill to aid his cultivation. In addition to the continuous battles, it was only natural for him to enter the medial grade martial disciple realm. Bang! That swelling feeling was suddenly released. The dantian in his body was in a state of chaos. The spiritual energy was like a fog spreading out. Xiao Chun carefully tidied up the fog. After a while, the situation of the blue dragon martial spirit became clear. The white clouds that were originally floating around the blue dragon had increased from 3 to 5. Xiao Chan could clearly feel that the essence stored in his body had increased significantly. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Xiao Chan continued to circulate the purple thunder divine incantation, consolidating his newly advanced medial grade martial disciple realm. The blue dragon martial spirit also continued to spit out essence, nourishing Xiao Chen's flesh and blood. When Xiao Chen opened his eyes again, the sky in the mountains was already bright. The mountain was covered in dew, causing Xiao Chen to feel incomparably refreshed. He took a deep breath and felt very refreshed. Jumping down from a tree, Xiao Chen extended out his spiritual sense. He felt that the range of his spiritual sense had increased significantly. I have to hurry back. When Lu Fenlin returns and sees me and the six-tailed spirit fox disappearing at the same time, he will definitely be suspicious. The longer I disappear, the harder it will be to explain the situation. Although he had to hurry back, Xiao Chun was not in a rush. Along the way, he released his spiritual sense. The green dot in his spiritual sense was able to find the hidden herbs in an instant. With such a good opportunity and the free time Xiao Chun had, naturally, he would not let go of these herbs that he had obtained for free. Herbs from the lowest grade to the highest grade were categorized into 9 grades. Anything above grade 4 could be considered superior grade herbs. These herbs could be worth thousands of gold anywhere. Herbs above grade 6 were considered to be of the best quality. Grade 8 and 9 herbs were considered peerless. They were excellent ingredients for refining pills. Some natural treasures could even be consumed directly. However, there were no medicinal pills above grade 6 in Seven-Horn Mountain. The main reason was that the mountain did not have sufficient spiritual energy and there were no good spirit veins. The red nascent fruit that Xiao Chen obtained was only a grade 6 herb. Along the way, as long as it was a grade 2 herb, Xiao Chen would place it in his universe ring. In 2 hours, his universe ring was filled with a large pile of herbs. Such a large harvest was comparable to a day's worth of effort by a regular herb gatherer. It is actually a grade 5 earth poria. My luck is pretty good. Xiao Chen rejoiced in his heart. He carefully picked it and placed it in his universe ring. Just as he was about to reach the Xiao clan's encampment, Xiao Chen unexpectedly obtained a grade 5 earth poria. Grade 5 earth poria had a cold nature and a stable medicinal effect. It could play a supporting role in many medicinal pills. It could greatly increase the success rate of medicinal pills. When refined alone, it could also be used to detoxify and remove dampness. When Xiao Chen raised his head and looked, the Xiao clan's encampment was already in front of him. He stopped picking herbs and calmed himself down before slowly walking towards the encampment. When the guard in front of the encampment saw Xiao Chen suddenly appear, he was stunned for a moment. Then his face lit up with joy. He quickly ran over and said, "Second young master, you are finally back. The first elder and the others sent several groups of people to look for you yesterday. They sent several groups of people to look for me. It looks like I will have to spend a lot of effort to explain later. I have to think of a good excuse," Xiao Chen thought to himself. After he asked where the first elder was and obtained an answer, Xiao Chen walked towards the Great Hall. Releasing his spiritual sense, Xiao Chen quickly saw Lu Fenglin and the others in the Great Hall. Within the Great Hall, the first elder, third elder, and Lu Fenglin all had ugly expressions on their faces. It looked like the events of the previous night had caused them a lot of trouble. In a corner, Xiao Chen was surprised to see Xiao Yulan. She was there as well, her face filled with worry. "First elder, have you not found second young master yet?" Lu Fenglin had a sullen expression as he asked indifferently. Xiao Chen was feeling vexed over this matter. The people he sent out yesterday had searched for an entire night, but they did not find any traces of Xiao Chen. When he heard Lu Fenglin's tone, he could not help but feel displeased. However, no matter what, Lu Fenglin was the only martial saint in the Xiao clan. Xiao Chen still had to rely on him for many things, so he did not dare to vent his anger on him. He restrained the displeasure in his heart and said, "There is still no news. The people I sent out reported that there were no obvious traces of him on the ground. It would be strange if they could find any traces." Xiao Chen's gravity spell allowed him to fly in the sky. How could he be found on the ground? With regard to this answer, Lu Fenglin was not too surprised. After all, the events of the previous night were too strange. The heavily injured six-tailed spirit fox and Xiao Chen actually disappeared at the same time. Furthermore, there were no traces of them at all. When Xiao Yulan heard this, her face became even more worried. In the instant she raised her head, she suddenly saw Xiao Chen standing outside the door with a smile. Xiao Yulan, who thought that she was seeing things, rubbed her eyes. Only then did she dare to believe that what she saw was real. She said happily, "Cousin Xiao Chen, you are back." When everyone in the hall heard this, they immediately turned to look outside. They only saw Xiao Chen standing outside the door, perfectly fine. He slowly walked in. "Xiao Chen, where is that six-tailed spirit fox? Where did you take it?" Lu Fenglin immediately asked, loudly, when he saw Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and said slowly, "Xiao Chen, speak slowly. What exactly happened last night? Where did the six-tailed spirit fox go?" Xiao Chen had already thought of a countermeasure in his heart. He smiled and said, "I'm not sure. After you all left, I felt that I was about to make a breakthrough. So, I found a place to advance. I only just heard what happened after that." He advanced. Only now did everyone realize that Xiao Chen had already broken through from inferior grade martial disciple to medial grade martial disciple. They could not help but feel astonished. This Xiao Chen's cultivation speed was too fast. He had only condensed his martial spirit a month ago. Now he had already broken through to medial grade martial disciple. This speed was comparable to the geniuses of some of the big clans. When Xiao Chong heard this, he felt joy in his heart. With Xiao Chen advancing at such a godly speed, his chances of winning the promise of 10 years and 3 months had increased significantly. He smiled and said, "Congratulations. Elder Lu, are you satisfied with this reason?" Lu Fenglin snorted coldly. "I don't care whether you advance or not. Hand over the spirit blood jade." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and sat down on a chair. He drank a mouthful of tea and tossed the spirit blood jade onto the table. Lu Fenglin felt joy in his heart and stretched out his hand to grab it. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. He said unhurriedly, "Elder Lu, I have already sealed the infant spirit fox in this spirit blood jade. If you want it, then take it. However, I believe that you will not live to see the day the spirit fox grows up." Lu Fenglin's expression changed greatly. He released his aura and shouted angrily, "How dare you? Are you seeking death?" Under the aura of a martial saint, along with Lu Fenglin's angry roar, the aura pressed down on Xiao Chun. The surrounding air seemed to freeze momentarily. Everyone could feel Lu Fenglin's anger. Xiao Chun did not feel any fear. This was not the first time he had faced the aura of a martial saint. The blue dragon martial spirit in his body gave off a faint pressure, easily blocking this overflowing aura. With a thought, the infant spirit fox in the spirit blood jade leaped out. Although this little fellow did not have much strength, it was still a spirit fox. It was the descendant of a six-tailed spirit fox. It was a natural rank 6 spirit beast. Naturally, it was not afraid of this aura. With a gentle jump, it landed in Xiao Chen's embrace. Xiao Chun gently stroked the pure white fur of the infant spirit fox and said, "Elder Lu, you saw it for yourself. I did not lie to you, right?" Chapter 44. When Xiao Chong saw that the atmosphere between the two of them was not right, he quickly said, "Xiao Chun, watch your attitude. Since you have already obtained the infant spirit fox, why are you not apologizing to Senior Lu?" On the surface, Xiao Chong's words seemed to be reprimanding Xiao Chun. However, in reality, he was tacitly admitting that Xiao Chun had obtained the spirit blood jade. He was just giving Lu Fenglin a way out of this embarrassing situation. With Xiao Chen's intelligence, how could he not understand the first elder's intentions? He gently placed the spirit fox on the table and cupped his hands, smiling. "Senior Lu, this junior did not know what was good for me," and spoke rudely. "I apologize for offending you." Lu Fenglin snorted coldly and withdrew his aura. He did not say anything, and the expression on his face did not change for the better. It was obvious that he was still in a bad mood. "Senior Lu, this is a medial-grade profound ranked spirit weapon. I see that you do not have a suitable weapon. How about you bear with it?" Xiao Chong said as he took out the huge sword he obtained from the Tang clan from his spatial ring. Lu Fenglin looked coldly at the medial-grade profound ranked spirit weapon that Xiao Chong handed over. He did not extend his hand to receive it. After losing the six-tailed spirit fox, he was unable to accept the huge disparity in strength. "First, uncle, it seems like Senior Lu does not think highly of this profound ranked spirit weapon. Coincidentally, my nephew's spirit weapon was destroyed. How about Senior Lu give it to me?" Xiao Chun said half-truthfully when he saw that Lu Fenglin was unwilling to receive it. Although Lu Fenglin was furious, he did not flare up this time. He stood up and left. Xiao Chong did not see him do anything, but the huge sword in Xiao Chong's hand automatically flew towards him. Xiao Chun thought to himself that it was a pity. After all, it was a medial-grade, profound rank spirit weapon. In most city, it could be said to be a peak existence. When Xiao Chong saw that Lu Fenglin finally accepted the huge sword, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He turned around and lectured Xiao Chun. "Xiao Chun, you cannot be so rude to Elder Lu in the future. He is of the same generation as your grandfather. You cannot forget basic etiquette." Xiao Chun thought otherwise. This Lu Fenglin relied on his own strength to snatch the things of a junior. He did not have a good impression of him. Seeing that Xiao Chun did not say anything, Xiao Chong roughly knew what he was thinking. He explained, Elder Lu, although he did go overboard in certain aspects, I can guarantee you that he would not do anything detrimental to the Shao clan. Xiao Chen found it funny. It seemed that girls did not have any resistance towards such cute things. He explained, Clan, Xiao Chun, Xiao Chun. Chen did not want to continue. He of Xiao Chun of the Chun. Xiao Chen did not want to, and Xiao Chen's and the spirit Xiao Chen's. After all, Chun and the Chiu and spirit were both. He and would be, and the Chun and family would. The Xiao and Fting. The beast was at the Xiao Chun, and the Chun and Xiao. Who, and Xiao there they was. Xiao, Chun, Xiao, and. He Lu I a Xiao, and when Xiao Yulan heard this, she did not show any expression. In her opinion, the death of such a person was not worth pitying. On the other hand, when Xiao Chong heard Tang Yuan's identity, his expression changed. He seemed to be thinking about something. When Xiao Chong saw the change in Xiao Chong's expression, he felt suspicious. Just as he was about to ask a question, a Xiao clan disciple rushed in from outside the hall. He was holding a letter in his hand and handed it to Xiao Chong with an anxious expression. First Elder, this is an urgent letter sent by the second elder. A letter from the second elder? A look of confusion flashed in Xiao Chong's eyes. Why would the second elder send a letter at this time? The second elder of the Xiao clan often worked in the Cheesy County's county lord's residence. He was the favorite of the county lord. In terms of prestige in the Xiao clan, the second elder's prestige was even higher than that of the first elder, Xiao Chong. This was because the Xiao clan's greatest backer was the Cheesy County lord. Currently, the only person who had a say in the Cheesy County was the second elder. Xiao Chong opened the letter and quickly read it. After he saw the contents clearly, his eyes turned grave. After he finished reading, his expression was a mixture of joy and worry. What's wrong? What's written in the letter? Xiao Yulan asked worriedly when she saw her father frowning. Xiao Chen also looked at Xiao Chong suspiciously. He did not know what was written in the letter for the first elder to have such a grave expression. Back then, when they sealed the mountains, he did not have such an expression. Xiao Chong put away the letter and said in a deep voice, the trial of Gloomy Forest will be brought forward. This is the first-hand news I got from the county lord. It will reach most city in a few days. When Xiao Chun heard this, his heart skipped a beat. From the memories of his body, he had some understanding of the trial of Gloomy Forest. Gloomy Forest was a demonic beast forest in the Cheesy County. There was a spatial crack that connected the demonic world and the Tianwu continent. The demonic qi from the demonic world in the crack had contaminated the spirit beasts and trees in the forest. Under the contamination of the demonic qi, these spirit beasts all turned into horrifying demonic beasts. After turning into demonic beasts, all the spirituality of the spirit beasts would disappear, leaving behind only a bloodthirsty and tyrannical nature. Their strength would also become even more powerful. A rank 2 demonic beast was as strong as a rank 3 spirit beast. Furthermore, it would always be in a berserk state, making it extremely ferocious. Some of the trees in the forest had also mutated due to the contamination of the demonic qi. Horrifying tree spirits and man-eating flowers that were tens of meters tall were everywhere. After the demonic calamity, there were many spatial cracks in the Tianwu continent. The larger spatial cracks were all sealed by the senior experts of the 3 Holy Masters' lands. They were classified as forbidden lands, and outsiders were not allowed to enter. However, there were too many of these spatial cracks in the continent. It was not realistic for the people of the 3 Holy Masters' lands to seal them all. Thus, some of the smaller spatial cracks remained. Unless something big happened, the 3 Holy Masters' lands would not send people to seal these small spatial cracks. The spatial crack in Gloomy Forest was one of these small spatial cracks. The demonic qi would only spread within the forest and would not radiate out. As long as ordinary people did not go into the forest, there would not be any danger. However, if left alone, when the number of demonic beasts reached a certain level, they would come out of the forest and threaten the surrounding cities. Thus, the various countries of the Tianwu continent would send people to keep an eye on these demonic beast forests. Once there were any abnormal reactions, they would send out strong cultivators to deal with these demonic beasts. The experiential training in Gloomy Forest referred to when they were dealing with these demonic beasts. The powers of the surrounding cities would send out their young disciples to the periphery of the demonic beast forest for experiential training. The environment of the demonic beast forest was vile, and the demonic beasts were incomparably ferocious. However, there would not be any strong demonic beasts in the periphery. To the young cultivators, it was a very good place for experiential training. During the experiential training, the various clans would compare themselves with each other. It could be said that it was a big test for the various clans. If the Shao clan's results in the experiential training were very bad, the news would quickly spread throughout the entire Mo city. It would be a huge blow to the reputation of the entire Shao clan. What was more serious was that the Cheesy County Lord and the city lords of the surrounding cities would appear during the experiential training. As the number one power in Mo City, the Shao clan had to have a good result. If they were not able to obtain first place, they would leave the impression that they were not strong enough and had no successors. This was also the reason why Shao Chong was happy and worried at the same time. If they performed well this time, they would be able to greatly increase the morale of the Shao clan before the promise of 10 years. If not, it would leave a huge shadow on the Shao clan. Shao Chun collected his thoughts, but he was not afraid at all. He asked with some anticipation, "When exactly will the experiential training begin?" 7 days later. This is the information that I obtained from the county lord. It will take about 2 days before it reaches Mo City. The two of you should pack up and leave the mountain as soon as possible. The two of you will be participating in this experiential training. The environment of the demonic beast forest is very vile. I have to hurry back to discuss it and make early preparations, Shao Chong said as he looked at the two of them. Although Shao Chun was only a medial grade martial disciple, when he was an inferior grade martial disciple, he had defeated the superior grade martial disciple Shao Jian. Now that he had advanced to medial grade martial disciple, his strength would naturally increase. Because Xiao Yulan had awakened her martial spirit at the age of 5, she had long since become a medial grade martial master. With such a realm, she could definitely be considered a peak existence in the entire Mo City. Whether or not the Shao clan could obtain a good result in this experiential training depended largely on the performance of these two people. Shao Chong's eyes were filled with anticipation as he looked at the two of them. In that case, how are we going to settle the score for the Tang clan causing trouble in our Seven-Horn Mountain? Xiao Yulan had always remembered the Tang clan's people injuring Xiao Chun and damaging her wooden hut. Now that she heard the meaning behind Xiao Chong's words, it was clear that he wanted to let go of this matter and focus on the experiential training in Gloomy Forest 7 days later. Xiao Yulan was somewhat dissatisfied. Xiao Chong muttered, "Yesterday, the third elder already sent people to the Tang clan. Now that there are many things happening, it is not suitable for us to start a war with the Tang clan. Yulan, don't mention this matter again." Xiao Yulan curled her lips and did not say anything. In her heart, she felt indignant at her father's words. With regards to the first elder's words, Xiao Chun agreed with him. From a moment, the blue-clothed man suddenly appeared in Seven-Horn Mountain and walked together with the Zhang clan. Now, the Tang clan suddenly broke their agreement with the Shao clan and entered Seven-Horn Mountain en masse to capture the six-tailed spirit fox. There was also that mysterious girl, Feng Fei Shue. Connecting all these together, the small Mo city was indeed not as peaceful as it looked on the surface. The situation was clearly not in the Shao clan's favor. Thus, he did not think of immediately seeking revenge on the Tang clan. Firstly, he was not strong enough. Without the Shao clan's help, his hopes of shaking the Tang clan were very slim. Secondly, although the Tang clan's operation had nearly forced Shao Chun into a dead end, in the end, he did not suffer any losses. Furthermore, he had completely ruined their operation. However, the Tang clan's operation this time resulted in heavy losses. 2 elders and the Tang clan's first young master died tragically. The precious spirit blood jade also fell into Xiao Chen's hands. Their meticulously designed capture plan had completely failed. In the past, The two clans did not interfere with each other's business. This time, however, they were about to completely fall out with each other. However, the situation in front of them was very delicate. The two clans would probably control their emotions and not act rashly. Chapter 45. Although Xiao Yulan was dissatisfied in her heart, she was not an unreasonable person. Seeing that Xiao Chong was firm in his decision, she did not say anything else. After the three of them had lunch, Xiao Chun rejected their request to go down a mountain with them and made up a reason. He only said that he had just advanced to medial grade martial disciple and that the qi in his body was not stable, so he needed to recuperate for a period of time. After most martial disciples advanced, they would recuperate for a period of time. This was not a strange thing, so Xiao Chong did not force Xiao Chun. He only requested that he return before the sky turned dark. Actually, Xiao Chun did not need to recuperate. His advancement to medial grade martial disciple could be said to be a natural and smooth process. He did not forcefully advance, so he did not need to deliberately recuperate. The reason why he did not go down a mountain with Xiao Yulan was because he wanted to gather more herbs before he left. It was rare for him to come to Seven Horn Mountain, so naturally, Xiao Chun would not return so easily. After Xiao Yulan and Xiao Chong were far away, Xiao Chun immediately went out and strolled all over the mountain. Using his spiritual sense, not a single spirit herb could escape his detection. Because of the Tang clan, Seven Horn Mountain had been sealed off the previous day. At this moment, there were very few people on the mountain. Even the places that were usually crowded were now empty. Xiao Chun could also use the lightning evasion without worry. Once he discovered a good spirit herb, he would immediately fly over. If it grew on a cliff, he would use the gravity spell to fly up. Using both methods at the same time, there were no spirit herbs that Xiao Chun could discover that he could not pick. However, when Xiao Chun picked herbs, he also abided by his principles. He did not pick herbs below grade 2, herbs that were not fully matured, herbs that were not old enough, or seedlings. These were the principles that a herbalist had to abide by. If the Seven Horn Mountain Range were to be harvested indiscriminately, the entire Seven Horn Mountain Range would dry up and become a dead mountain in less than 3 years. When the sun set, Xiao Qin's universe ring was filled with all sorts of medicinal herbs. 10-year grade 4 snow ginseng, 20-year grade 3 wind spirit grass, 20-year grade 8 octagonal lotus. Xiao Chun grinned with satisfaction. With the help of his divine sense and the lightning evasion technique and gravity technique, his harvest today was equivalent to half a year's harvest for an ordinary person. Furthermore, there were some rare medicinal herbs that ordinary people would never be able to discover if they did not have a spiritual sense. This benefited Xiao Chun. It's time to go down the mountain. If we don't, we'll have to spend the night here again, Xiao Chun muttered. He returned to the Xiao Manor without any accidents. When he arrived at his courtyard, Xiao Chun felt like he had returned home. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Do I, Xiao Chun, really have a home in this world? Second young master, are you back? The moment Xiao Chun stepped through the gates, he heard Bao Er's joyful voice. It was already close to dusk. Bao Er was sweeping the fallen leaves on the ground. When she saw Xiao Chun return, she quickly put down what she was doing and ran over. Her face was filled with unconcealable joy. Xiao Chun felt warmth in his heart. He smiled faintly and said, "Yes, I'm back. How have you been?" Bao Er was very happy in her heart. She told Xiao Chun everything that had happened in the Xiao residence in the past few days. They were all trivial matters. Although Xiao Chun was not very interested, he did not stop Bao Er. After all, the days in the mountains were too lonely. Now that he heard someone chattering by his ear, he found it a kind of joy. "That's right, young master. You must be hungry. I'll make you some fish porridge." Bao Er seemed to have thought of something. She quickly said goodbye to Xiao Chun and headed for the kitchen. The effects of the fasting pill had not passed yet. Xiao Chun was not hungry. It was just that he had not been in contact with oil for the past few days. He was filled with anticipation for Bao Er's cooking. When he returned to his room, Xiao Chun took out all the herbs in the universe ring and prepared to categorize them. 1. A large pile of herbs appeared out of nowhere. They took up most of the empty space in the room. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. It was not easy to categorize so many herbs. This was a blissful problem. However, no matter how difficult it was, he had to figure it out. Otherwise, it would be very inconvenient to use them in the future. Xiao Chun first categorized the herbs according to their attributes into 5 categories. Those that replenished qi and blood were categorized into 1 category. Those that healed injuries were categorized into 1 category. Those that nourished one's body were categorized into 1 category. Those that could directly increase one's cultivation were categorized into 1 category. The last category was categorized into 1 category. After that, Xiao Chun carefully categorized these 5 categories based on their grades. After he took out the spirit herbs that he needed, he divided them into different areas in the universe ring and placed them back in their original positions. After he was done with everything, Xiao Chun's forehead was covered in sweat. At this moment, there was the sound of footsteps coming from outside the door. Xiao Chun quickly released his spiritual sense. If someone discovered that he had so many herbs, he would not be able to explain himself. When he used his spiritual sense to check, he discovered that it was Bao, carrying the fish porridge over. He relaxed. When Bao entered and saw the herbs on the floor, she understood what Xiao Chun wanted to do. She knew that she could not disturb him. She smiled gently and placed the fish porridge on the table before she took her leave. After sending Bao off, Xiao Chun returned to his room. He was immediately attracted by the fragrance of the fish porridge. He picked up his bowl and chopsticks and started eating happily. Putong. Suddenly, the infant 6-tailed spirit fox jumped out of the spirit blood jade. It looked pitifully at Xiao Chun, who was eating happily. Its white tail wagged around, and its eyes were misty. It was as pitiful as it could be. Ever since he signed a blood contract with this infant spirit fox, it had not eaten anything. Xiao Chun only cared about eating the fasting pill and completely ignored the feelings of the infant spirit fox. At this moment, the infant spirit fox must be very hungry. Xiao Chun smiled awkwardly and brought the bowl to the infant spirit fox. You want to eat too? Never mind, you can have it. The infant spirit fox stuck out its tongue and licked the bowl a few times. After that, it stopped moving. It raised its head and looked pitifully at Xiao Chun. The meaning in its eyes was clear. This thing was not to her taste. Xiao Chun could not help but feel anxious. He knew very little about the feeding of spirit beasts. He did not know what to do with the current situation. What if this infant spirit fox starved to death? That would be a great sin. In his anxiety, Xiao Chun thought of the worst. Idiot! It was unknown when the Thunderous Sword spirit had appeared behind Xiao Chun. When Xiao Chun saw her, he could not help but see some hope. As for her calling him an idiot, he automatically ignored it. Thunderous sister, do you know what exactly this spirit fox eats? Idiot, this infant spirit fox is only a month old. Of course, it drinks milk. Otherwise, what do you think it eats? When others sign a blood contract, they will wait until their infant spirit fox is 3 months old. You, on the other hand, signed a blood contract before a month has passed. So, there is such a saying, Xiao Chun thought. However, the situation was urgent and he had no other choice. If he had not used the spirit blood jade, it would have been snatched away by Lu Fenglin. Xiao Chun's gaze unconsciously shifted to the Thunderous Sword spirit's chest. Although this infant spirit fox was only a sword spirit, her chest seemed to be very full. I wonder if I can. Damn it! Where did I think I went? Feeling Xiao Chun's gaze, the Thunderous Sword spirit said angrily, Idiot, you hooligan, what are you looking at? Xiao Chun blushed and said awkwardly, It's a habit. It's purely a habit. No, it's not a habit. I just didn't pay attention. I didn't pay attention. Do you understand? The Thunderous Sword spirit could not be bothered with him. She floated over and hugged the pitiful infant spirit fox. She extended her right index finger and gently placed it in the spirit fox's mouth. Chi-chi, streams of pure energy gathered on the Thunderous Sword spirit's index finger, giving off a milky white glow. Finally, this energy actually condensed into a milky white liquid. The little spirit fox seemed to have tasted the most delicious food in the world. It happily sucked and closed its eyes. There was a satisfied expression on its adorable face. How could this be? Xiao Chun looked at the scene in front of him incredulously. Naturally, he would not be stupid enough to think that the milky white liquid was that. This was clearly the energy of heaven and earth turning into a substance. If the Tsundere sword spirit wanted to, this pure energy could immediately turn into a destructive and invincible qi. Furthermore, it would be a solid qi. If a cultivator like Xiao Chan faced such a qi, he would not even need to wait for the qi to approach. The shockwave from the qi would be able to easily tear him to shreds without any resistance. Such strength meant that she was at least a martial monarch. It was no wonder that the Tsundere sword spirit had looked down on Xiao Chun. A martial monarch was already a national guardian in the great Qin nation. National guardian, national guardian. What was national guardian? Using the strength of a single person to suppress mountains and rivers for thousands of kilometers. This was a national guardian. In the great Qin nation, there were 3 prefectures, 9 provinces, and 72 counties. There were tens of thousands of kilometers of beautiful mountains and rivers. On the surface, there were only 10 national guardians. Could this girl in front of him be a national guardian? Is she really just an insignificant sword spirit? After a while, the milky white light finally stopped. The Tsundere sword spirit withdrew her index finger and her body swayed in the air. She was clearly weak, but the expression on her face was one of gratification. "Hey, Sister Tsundere, are you all right?" Xiao Chun asked worriedly when he saw how weak she was. The milky white light that the cub had absorbed earlier did not seem to be much. In reality, it contained a vast amount of spiritual energy. If a regular cultivator absorbed it, they would be able to raise their cultivation by an entire cultivation realm. With such exhaustion, Xiao Chun was afraid that she would not be able to endure it. The Tsundere sword spirit shook her head and said, "I'm fine." The energy that it absorbed earlier was enough for it to last for 3 months. After that, I can feed it meat porridge. This little fellow has not given it a name yet, right? Why don't you give it one? The Tsundere sword spirit suddenly thought of this problem. Xiao Chun thought for a while and said, "Is this little fellow a boy or a girl? No, that's not right. Is it male or female?" "Idiot, there is no need for you to give a name. Just call it Bai," the Tsundere sword spirit said hatefully. "Bye-bye," Xiao Chun muttered to himself. "This name should be a girl. Doesn't that mean she will be a vixen in the future? Damn it, what am I thinking of again?" Chapter 46. After settling Bai's matter, Xiao Chun took out the blue dragon medicine cauldron and started to refine the medicine. Ao Jiao teased Bai at the side, showing no intention of avoiding him. Xiao Chun sighed. In the future, he would not be able to hide any secrets in front of Ao Jiao. This was something that could not be helped. Ao Jiao's strength was much higher than her master's. Even if he wanted to resist, he had no chance of winning. However, he had a feeling that although this little girl's words were not pleasant to hear, she was not a scheming person. She would not do anything to harm him. Under certain circumstances, she would even help him solve some problems. Just like Bai's feeding problem, she spent a lot of effort to produce those few drops of milky white heaven and earth essence. Shaking his head, Xiao Chun tossed all these messy thoughts to the back of his mind. He started to concentrate on refining medicine. Now, he wanted to refine a new type of medicinal pill for treating injuries and a type of explosive medicinal pill. His experience at Seven Horn Mountain made him realize that injuries were unavoidable in battle. If he had a pill that could quickly heal his injuries, he would not have ended up in such a sorry state during the battle. As for the explosive type of pill, it was a pill that could temporarily increase a person's strength. When necessary, it could be used to launch a counterattack. These 2 pills were the blood-replenishing pill and the cloud-swallowing pill. The latter pill had extremely strong side effects. Although it was very effective for a short period of time, it would cause great damage to the body after the effects wore off. Xiao Chun refined these 2 pills to protect his life. As long as he did not use them frequently, they would not leave behind long-term hidden dangers in his body. Compared to the similar pills on the continent, their effects were much better. Xiao Chun took out the herbs that he had prepared earlier. The green spiritual core in his sea of consciousness followed his spiritual sense and entered the herbs. He could clearly see the internal structure of the herbs. With a pu sound, a purple flame rose up from his palm. Xiao Chun focused all his attention, not daring to be distracted at all. These two pills were not very high ranked in the compendium of cultivation. Thus, it was not particularly difficult to refine them. With the help of his spiritual sense and spiritual sense, Xiao Chun could refine them with ease. Soon, a fragrance came from the medicine cauldron. The first pill was successfully refined. Xiao Chun revealed a satisfied smile. He took out a porcelain bottle and stored the blood-replenishing pill inside. Stupid master, I couldn't tell that you know how to refine medicine. Furthermore, this method of refining medicine is different from the ones on the continent. Ao Jiao looked at Xiao Chun in astonishment. Earlier, because she was afraid of disturbing Xiao Chun's refinement, she did not say anything. Hearing Ao Jiao's words, Xiao Chun felt a sense of pride in his heart. He smiled and said, "You are underestimating me. You are not the only one. I know this." Ao Jiao snorted and said, "You only know a little, and you are already so cocky. I think you do not know the immensity of heaven and earth." What did you mean by only knowing a little? Xiao Chun used the alchemy techniques in the compendium of cultivation. His success rate for rank 3 and below was over 90%. He was many times better than the ordinary alchemists on the continent. Xiao Chun said with some dissatisfaction, "If you have the ability, then refine a pill that is exactly the same as this one for me to see." Ao Jiao was stunned for a moment. Her cute face looked like she had seen something extremely funny. She was clearly astonished. After a while, she smiled coldly and said, "If I refine it, what will you do? There has to be some sort of reward." "Deal. If you succeed, you can make any request of me. If you fail, you are not allowed to call me an idiot," Xiao Chun said without thinking. Xiao Chun was rather confident in his alchemy skills. Even if Ao Jiao really knew how to refine pills, she had only seen it once and did not know the recipe. There was no way she could succeed. Ao Jiao said, "You really do not know the immensity of heaven and earth. I will teach you a lesson today. Otherwise, when you go out and get beaten to death, you will not even know how you died." After Ao Jiao spoke, she flicked her fingers 3 times, and 3 white flames appeared out of nowhere. They floated quietly in the air. Her hands moved continuously, and the herbs on the table all flew into the air under her control. For a moment, it was very dazzling. Xiao Chun actually thought of the fancy bartenders he saw in bars in his previous life. They seemed to be like this as well, gorgeous and dazzling. Xiao Chun, who had been watching from the side, consoled himself, "There is no need to worry. She is definitely playing around by making such a dazzling display. Alchemy is a very serious matter." So. Ao Jiao's hands moved like lightning. Among the herbs flying in the air, she accurately found the first 3 herbs that needed to be calcined. She flicked them into the 3 flames. The 3 flames each calcined a herb, giving off a zizi sound. Ao Jiao was not done yet. She changed her hand gestures again, and the herbs that were about to fall floated into the air again. Dong, dong, dong. Ao Jiao was multitasking. It was unknown when 3 porcelain bottles appeared in her left hand. She accurately caught the medicinal liquid that dripped from the flames. She flicked her right hand a few more times, and the 3 white flames started to calcine the remaining 3 different medicinal liquids. After a while, the 6 medicinal pills needed for the blood-replenishing pill were completely calcined. Xiao Chun watched all this in astonishment. At this moment, he finally understood Ao Jiao's intentions. This was an extreme alchemy technique that pursued speed. Xiao Chun already found it difficult to use 1 flame to calcine the medicinal liquid. However, Ao Jiao was able to use 3 flames to calcine the medicinal liquid at the same time. This was something that Xiao Chun did not even dare to think about. Ao Jiao's control over the flames had already reached a daunting level. Xiao Chun knew that he was going to lose today's bet. However, he did not feel that it was a pity. Being able to observe such exquisite and peerless alchemy techniques was also an excellent learning opportunity for him. Indeed, it was as he expected. Ao Jiao executed the remaining steps smoothly. There were no mistakes or pauses. However, at the final step, during the process of nourishing the medicinal pill, Ao Jiao's face suddenly revealed an extremely weak expression. A soft explosion came from within the blue dragon medicine cauldron. The refinement of this medicinal pill actually failed. It failed at the most impossible step. Xiao Chun thought to himself that he was lucky. Soon, he thought of the reason for Ao Jiao's failure. Earlier, Ao Jiao condensed the essence of heaven and earth to feed by. She had exhausted too much essence. She did not rest for long before she started refining the medicinal pill again. Her essence could no longer support the last step. How is this possible? Ao Jiao was in disbelief as she looked at the dregs flowing out of the dragon's mouth. She actually did not succeed. Xiao Qin coughed and said that. Sister Ao Jiao, do you mean what you said? Ao Jiao's face turned red as she said, Bastard, I will not call you an idiot in the future. After she said that, she entered the universe ring. When Bai saw Ao Jiao suddenly disappear, he was confused. He jumped around trying to find where Ao Jiao was hiding. However, after searching for a long time, he could not find her. He looked at Xiao Chen anxiously. When Xiao Chen saw Bai's appearance, he smiled and said, There is no need to look for her. Your mother is hiding. For the next 2 days, Xiao Chen did not go out. He stayed in his room, continuously refining medicinal pills. Aside from the 2 new medicinal pills, Xiao Chen did not go out at all. Aside from the 2 new medicinal pills, he also refined quite a few of the 3 medicinal pills that he refined earlier. After all, he was not lacking in ingredients and did not need to go out and buy them. Aside from refining medicinal pills, Xiao Qin spent the rest of his time researching the usage of the purple Thunder True Fire. He tried to increase the penetrative power of the purple Thunder True Fire, and the results were very obvious. The purple Thunder True Fire could already penetrate through 2 feet of essence iron without exploding. 2 days later, early in the morning, Xiao Chun changed into the black cloak once again. He stored all the moonstones that he had left at home into the universe ring and left the Xiao residence, heading towards Mo City. The city was as bustling as before. Although Xiao Qin's attire was a little strange, it did not attract any attention. He walked unhurriedly towards Linlang Pavilion. Aside from retrieving the money he earned from the auction, the more important reason he came out today was to forge a new spirit weapon. When his figure appeared at the entrance of Linlang Pavilion, one of the guards at the entrance wanted to stop him when he saw his strange attire. At this moment, someone at the side quickly stopped his companion. Senior, you are finally here. Our pavilion master has been waiting for you for a long time. Xiaochen was somewhat surprised that someone at the entrance actually recognized him. After carefully sizing him up, he realized that it was Gao Long, who he had injured the other day. It's you. Since you know him, then help me pass a message, Xiao Chan said indifferently. I'll go immediately. Quickly bring this esteemed guest to the inner pavilion. Gao Long quickly nodded and said. Because of the incident with Xiao Chun, he had been demoted to a guard. Now that he saw Xiao Chun again, he naturally did not dare to be negligent. Before he left, he instructed his companions to bring Xiao Chun to the inner pavilion. Although the people beside Gao Long did not recognize Xiao Chun, seeing Gao Long's cautious attitude, they did not dare to be careless. They quickly led Xiao Chun in. After entering the Great Hall, Xiao Chun discovered that the number of people he saw this time was more than double the previous time. The Great Hall could be said to be packed with people. It was difficult to move even an inch. Secretly circulating his essence, Xiao Chen's body nimbly avoided the few people who bumped into him. Among these people, there were quite a few who purposely bumped into him. Xiao Chen saw everything clearly and guessed the identity of these people. They should be some skilled thieves. They were very confident in their skills and actually came to Linlang Pavilion to fish in troubled waters. The few thieves tried to get close to Xiao Chen a few times, but to no avail. They knew that they had met a tough opponent and wisely made a decision. They no longer purposely got close to him. In the inner pavilion, Xiao Chun drank his tea as he quietly waited for Nangong Yan's arrival. However, he had some doubts in his heart. Today, Linlang Pavilion seemed to have an unreasonable number of people. However, it was not the end of the month, and there was no auction being held. Xiao Chun put down his teacup and asked the attendant beside him, "What day is it today? Why are there so many people in Linlang Pavilion?" The attendant knew that Xiao Chun was the esteemed guest of the pavilion master. He did not dare to be negligent and replied, "Today." Before he finished speaking, there was a hearty laughter coming from outside the inner pavilion. The attendant quickly stopped what he was saying and retreated from the inner pavilion. This was because Nangong Yin had already arrived. The following conversation was not something that he could listen to. "Little friend, you are finally here. This old man has been waiting for you to come for the past few days." Chapter 47. Haha, I never thought that the pavilion master would think so highly of a junior. Xiao Chen's face was completely hidden under the cloak. Others could not see his expression. Nangong Yin took out a stack of banknotes and handed it over. "This is the money from the previous auction. There is a total of 1,000,000 taels of silver." There was actually 1,000,000 taels of silver? This was out of Xiao Chen's expectations. He received the banknotes without batting an eyelid. Xiao Chun said, "It is just a fasting pill, and it actually sold for 1,000,000 taels of silver. Linlang Pavilion truly lives up to its name." Nangong Yin smiled and said, "This fasting pill is a new pill. I have never heard of it before. Furthermore, it has a unique effect. Furthermore, with the help of my Linlang Pavilion, it is normal for it to sell for 1,000,000 taels of silver. If this was the imperial capital's Linlang Pavilion, the price would be doubled. I wonder if little friend brought anything to auction this time?" When Xiao Chun heard this, he took out a blood-replenishing pill, a qi-returning pill, and an essence-nurturing pill. After that, he placed them on the table and introduced the effects of these pills. "Pavilion Master Nangong, please state your starting bid for these 3 pills." Nangong Yin was very happy. These 3 pills were brand new pills. Although there were similar pills in the continent, he was certain that the recipes for the pills in the continent were different from these 3 pills. When Xiao Chun brought the fasting pill previously, he had studied it carefully. Although he was unable to decipher the recipe, it gave him a lot of inspiration. This made him, who had been standing at the peak of a Tier 7 alchemist for many years, overjoyed. This time, Xiao Chun brought 3 different pills. His alchemy realm would definitely have a breakthrough. "Only one?" Nangong Yin asked suspiciously when he saw that Xiao Chun had no intention of taking out more pills. If there was only one of each pill, it would not be easy. Sometimes, when he was researching, he would accidentally damage the pill. If he wanted to research it again, it would be troublesome. In truth, Xiao Chen's original intention was not to even take out a single medicinal pill. However, considering that he had once been here and had received some help, he took out 3 medicinal pills each and put them up for auction. He didn't have much desire for money. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a special need for it, it would be best if he kept all the pills he refined for himself. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun decided to tell the truth and said, "Pavilion Master Nangong, I'm actually not interested in bidding at the moment. If Pavilion Master needs them, I can give these 3 pills to you." Nangong Yin shook his head and smiled. "You have misunderstood my meaning. With this old man's cultivation, these 3 pills would not be of much use. Do you know what date is today?" "What day?" Xiao Chun also wanted to know the answer. If Nangong Yin had not arrived, the attendant would have already told him the answer. However, it was not too late for Nangong Yin to tell him now. Nangong Yin smiled gently. "I believe that little friend has discovered that there are a lot of people in our pavilion today. This afternoon, our pavilion will be holding our annual large-scale auction ahead of schedule. So that's why. No wonder there are so many people here." Xiao Chun suddenly understood. Every year, Linlang Pavilion's large-scale auction was a grand event in Mo City. It was reasonable for so many people to appear. However, Xiao Chun remembered that large-scale auctions were usually held at the end of the year. It was not even the middle of the year yet. Why were they holding a large-scale auction already? Nangong Yin seemed to have noticed the doubts in Xiao Chen's heart and said, This is because this old man will be going to the imperial capital at the end of the month. Thus, before I leave, I want to hold a large-scale auction. Imperial capital? The old man in front of me is indeed not an ordinary person, Xiao Chun thought to himself. From the first time he saw this person, he felt an unprecedented pressure. This kind of pressure was much stronger than when he faced Lu Foming. In front of him, he felt as though he was being seen through. This person's position in the Nangong clan was definitely not simple. Xiao Chun did not know why he was going to the imperial capital. However, this had nothing to do with Xiao Chun, so there was no need to think too much about it. Unfortunately, the world was like a game of chess, unfathomable. Xiao Chun, who was under the cloak, did not know that the old man in front of him was going to the imperial capital. What the old man was doing was not only related to him, but it was also related to him greatly. Xiao Chen's face under the cloak was completely hidden in the shadows. Nangong Yin could not see Xiao Chen's expression and could not help but feel disappointed. He continued to say, "Thus, I would like to ask little friend to take out a few more pills to put up for auction. As the finale of this auction, I would like to save some face for this old man." Hearing these words, Xiao Chan found it somewhat funny. If there was someone else who said this, saying that they wanted his pills to save face, he might have believed them. However, if an important person in the Nangong clan actually said that he wanted these pills to save face, then he was thinking too highly of Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun was very clear on how useful these pills were. The Nangong clan was one of the 4 great clans of the Great Qin Empire. The clan head, Nangong Lai, was a martial monarch expert. Among the 10 great generals of the Great Qin Empire, he was ranked 2nd. Even if these pills were at the peak, they would only be equivalent to rank 4 pills in the continent. To the Nangong clan, they were not even worth mentioning. It was clear that the old man in front of Xiao Chun had an extraordinary position in the Nangong clan. He had countless rare treasures in his hands. Why would he be lacking in rank 4 pills? It was clear that he wanted these pills for himself. The old man in front of him should be an alchemist. This was what Xiao Chen's intuition told him as an alchemist. Furthermore, he was of a very high rank. He could tell that the pills that Xiao Chun refined were different from the traditional method of refining pills. Hence, he wanted more for his own research. This was the reason why Xiao Chun gave him 3 pills. However, he was not satisfied. It was even possible that he had already bought all the pills that Xiao Chun put up for auction previously. Xiao Chun did not say anything. He placed his hand in his bosom to disguise it. After that, he took out 3 porcelain bottles from his universe ring and removed the caps. The fragrance of blood-replenishing pills, chi-returning pills, and essence-nurturing pills instantly spread out. Xiao Chun said, "Pavilion Master Nangong, we are straightforward people and will not beat around the bush. You just want these pills, right? There are 20 pills in each porcelain bottle. Just tell me what you can use to exchange for them." Xiao Chun was not lacking in money. However, he believed that Nangong Yin definitely had treasures that could interest him. Hence, he might as well take this opportunity to extort some money from him. Nangong Yan's smiling face suddenly changed. A look of astonishment flashed in his eyes. His gaze was like a saber as he stared at Xiao Chun. Although Nangong Yin did not use any strength, he did not even release any of his aura. He simply stared at Xiao Chun, causing Xiao Chun to feel as though he was sitting on pins and needles. Under the cloak, Xiao Chun did his best to remain calm. He sank his consciousness and stabilized his trembling body. However, sweat continued to pour down his back. "Haha, young man, you are very bold. Are you not afraid that I will kill you and snatch away all these things?" Nangong Yin suddenly laughed. The pressure on Xiao Chun also disappeared. "You won't. It is because I cannot feel any killing intent from you. Furthermore, the last time I walked out of this place, your pavilion did not send anyone to follow me. That is why I dare to come again." Xiao Chun calmed down and said unhurriedly. When Nangong Yin heard this, he smiled and said, "You are very courageous and smart. It is indeed this old man who wants these pills of yours. Your straightforward character is quite to my liking." After Nangong Yin said this, he paused for a while. He got up and paced back and forth a few steps before saying, It is hard to say how much these pills of yours are worth. To those who are knowledgeable, it would be a sky-high price. To those who are not knowledgeable, they are merely rank 4 pills. Xiao Chen nodded his head and did not deny it. He smiled and said, "That pavilion master Nangong is clearly someone knowledgeable. I wonder what kind of sky-high price he will offer." Nangong Yin smiled and said, "Little demon, stop playing word games with me. Although I really need these pills, I cannot guarantee that I will be able to discover anything useful. Little friend, can you introduce me to your master?" Seeing that Nangong Yin suddenly changed the topic, Xiao Chen's face immediately sank. He said, "My master likes peace and quiet. He will not meet outsiders. I have already said this the last time. If Pavilion Master does not need these pills, then I will take my leave." After Xiao Chen spoke, he got up and walked out of the door. This was Xiao Chen's bottom line. How could he have a master? All the pills were refined by himself. If this was exposed, Nangong Yin would definitely put him under house arrest. Nangong Yin hurriedly stopped Xiao Chen and pulled him back. "I was just speaking casually. Little friend, don't worry. I will definitely buy these pills. How about this? I will not be a spendthrift and will not let you suffer a loss. How about this? In the afternoon's auction, you can choose any 3 items. Regardless of the price, our Linlang Pavilion will pay for it." The reason why Nangong Yin said this was because he knew that Xiao Chen would definitely not use the silver banknotes. Otherwise, he would directly use the pills to auction. However, Nangong Yin was somewhat reluctant to take out some valuable treasures. After all, the true value of these pills was only a rank 4 pill. In the end, he thought of a cheap way to satisfy Xiao Chen's wishes. He also did not need to part with his treasures. He only needed to fork out some money. Furthermore, he had already seen the list of items to be auctioned. Although there were many good items, they were not able to move his heart. It could be said that he would not suffer a loss. Xiao Chen quickly analyzed Nangong Yin's words and quickly understood what Nangong Yin was planning. He could not help but curse in his heart. This old fox is really cunning. However, he immediately thought of a countermeasure and said, "Can I take a look at the list of items to be auctioned?" This request was not excessive. Normally, an auction would send out the list of items to be auctioned in advance. They would also list out the main items and the finale items. This was mainly to attract the guests who came to the auction. Although Nangong Yin was unwilling, he still took out a list of items to be auctioned and handed it to Xiao Chen. In this large-scale auction, there are many good items. You will definitely not be disappointed. Xiao Chen took the list and looked at it carefully. After looking through it, he quickly made a decision. He smiled and said, "It is decided. I will choose 3 items to be auctioned. These pills will belong to Pavilion Master." Chapter 48. Linlang Pavilion. In the VIP booth on the 4th floor of the auction house, Xiao Chen stood in front of the window and looked down. The seats in the hall were already filled with people. There was a hubbub of voices and discussions. The auctioneer had already taken his place. Xiao Chen said to the universe ring, "Sister Ao Jiao, you are the one who told me to agree to that old man. Why aren't you saying anything now?" Earlier, when Xiao Chen had just received the auction list, before he could finish looking through it, Ao Jiao's voice resounded in his mind. She was telling him to agree to Nangong Yan's suggestion. "I told you to agree, so just agree. Do you think I will let you suffer a loss?" Ao Jiao floated out from the ring and said unhappily. When Xiao Chen saw her running out so casually, he was startled. He said, "Hey, why did you run out? What if there are people watching us?" Ao Jiao said, "If I don't want people to see me, no one can see me. Furthermore, there are no people watching us. You are worrying too much. That old man already took the pill and ran off somewhere." Xiao Chen relaxed and said, "The auction is about to start. You can now say which 3 items you want to bid for. What's the rush? I will inform you when the time comes. I will go out and take a look." After Ao Jiao spoke, she leaped out of the window and flew out. When Xiao Chen saw Ao Jiao jump down like that, he was so angry that he wanted to curse. If he were to jump down, he would beat this damn brat up. Unfortunately, not to mention whether he could defeat her or not, Xiao Chen did not dare to jump down like that. There were thousands of people in the hall below. If he jumped down like that, he would immediately become the target of attention. Despite Xiao Chen's resentment, the auction continued. The first item was a rank 4 fire attributed spirit core. In most auctions, the first item to be auctioned would not be too good or too bad. If it was too good, it would cause the expectations of the people below to be too high. If it was not able to bring out a pleasant surprise, it would cause them to be extremely disappointed. It would be even more impossible if the item was too poor. It would directly lower the quality of the auction, and people would think that there was nothing good to offer. Impatient customers might even leave immediately. The first item was a rank 4 fire attributed spirit core. It was an item that was neither too good nor too bad. Although it was not a precious item, it was still rare in Mo City. The spirit cores of the continent were mainly used to refine medicine. The method that Xiao Chan learned was different from that of the continent. Thus, Xiao Chan did not care about this spirit core. However, just as Xiao Chan was feeling dispirited, the auctioneer suddenly said, "Chun, everyone, this spirit core is not an ordinary spirit beast, but the spirit core of spirit. For people who practice fire-attributed cultivation techniques, it can directly raise the might of their flames by a level. Its value is not something that a regular spirit beast can compare to. The starting price is 500,000 silver taels. The auction will begin now. Each bid must not be lower than 50,000 silver taels." After the auctioneer finished his introduction, the atmosphere in the hall became lively. No one expected that such a precious item would appear right at the start of the auction. 600,000 silver taels, 700,000 silver taels, 900,000 silver taels. Very quickly, there were people bidding. The price of this spirit core of the spirit core of the spirit core reached 1,000,000 silver taels. Xiao Chen noticed that the person in the VIP booth opposite him was calling out the fiercest bids. Every time, he would immediately follow up, appearing to be in a hurry. From Xiao Chen's angle, he could not see the situation in the booth opposite him. However, this was not a problem for Xiao Chen. He extended his spiritual sense, and the situation inside immediately appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. There were 5 cultivators in the private room. Only a young man wearing an embroidered robe was sitting there. The others were standing beside him with a respectful look on their faces. That youth should be the young master of some clan, and the people behind him should be his followers. Out of the 4 followers, 3 of them were superior grade martial disciples. The last one was actually an inferior grade martial master. Xiao Chan thought to himself, "Who is this youth? Even his followers are so strong. Why have I never seen them before?" "Second young master, I heard that this spirit core of the spirit beast is the purest fire attributed spirit beast in the world. Its spirit core is the essence of its entire body. It will definitely be of great help to your cultivation technique." The handsome face of the youth in embroidered robes revealed a faint smile. There was a rare calmness in his eyes. He smiled and said, "The way you speak, it is as if I've already won the bid for this spirit core." Another follower smiled and said, "In Mo City, in terms of strength, the Xiao clan might be the strongest. However, in terms of wealth, who can surpass our Tang clan? Furthermore, the promise of 10 years is approaching. Once the Xiao clan falls, our Tang clan will be the undisputed #1 clan in Mo City." The Tang clan's second young master smiled faintly and did not deny it. His eyes revealed a proud expression as he clenched his fist and said, "I must obtain this spirit core of the rainbow flame python. Bid me 2,000,000 silver taels." So he is from the Tang clan. No wonder he is so rich and overbearing, Xiao Chan thought to himself. In the past few years, the Tang clan had made use of the conflict between the Xiao clan and the Zhang clan to amass an uncountable amount of wealth. This Tang clan's second young master was called Tang Feng. The Tang clan had always kept a low profile. It was not strange that Xiao Chan did not recognize him at first glance. The moment Tang Feng spoke, the follower immediately took out a bidding card and gently peeked it out of the window. The bidding card with red words on a white background was exceptionally eye-catching. When the auctioneer below saw it, he immediately said excitedly, "VIP room 13 bids 2,000,000 silver taels. 2,000,000 silver taels." Is there any higher bid than 2 million silver taels? This is the spirit core of the rainbow flame python. Is there no one else? Even in the entire Great Qin Nation, this kind of spirit core is extremely rare. The auctioneer called out a few more times. Seeing that there was still no one raising the bid, he started to slowly explain the rarity of this spirit core. However, there was no one raising the bid. Although this spirit core was rare, it could only increase the strength of fire-attributed cultivators. It would not be of much help to cultivators of other attributes. If it was not a fire-attributed cultivator, spending 2 million silver taels on it would not be worth it. Hence, there was no one raising the bid. 2 million silver taels going once. 2 million silver taels going twice. When the auctioneer saw that there was no one raising the bid, he gave up on explaining and started the final countdown. The Tang clan's second young master revealed a pleased smile. A rank 4 spirit core for 2 million silver taels. In the entire Mo city, he was the only one who could pay such a price. 2 million silver taels going thrice. Just as the auctioneer was about to count thrice, his expression suddenly became excited. He said loudly, "Look, someone in VIP room 11 has bid too. 5 million silver taels. 5 million silver taels. Is there any higher bid than 5 million silver taels?" The auctioneer of the Glittering Jewels Pavilion had obviously received excellent training. His words were always so tempting. When he heard someone bid 5 million silver taels, Tang Feng was stunned. He smiled coldly and said, "Bid 3 million silver taels. Every time the other party makes a bid, add another 500,000 silver taels. Let's see how long he can last." One of the attendants behind him said, "Second young master, that VIP room 11 seems to belong to the Shao clan. I saw Shao Jian come out from there earlier." Tang Feng's eyebrows twitched as he toyed with a wine cup in his hand. He smiled evilly. "Interesting. That Shao Jian seems to cultivate a fire-attributed cultivation technique. All the more reason why we cannot let him obtain it." Shao Chun did not have much interest in this rainbow flame python spirit core. The attribute of the purple thunder divine incantation that he cultivated was lightning. Consuming the spirit core would not be of much benefit to him. As for his purple thunder true fire, it was a lightning-attributed fire. It was different from regular flames. If he wanted to raise the might of the purple thunder true fire, he would have to consume lightning-attributed lightning and not a fire-attributed spirit core. However, with the atmosphere of the auction and the two booths raising the bid, the price of the spirit core actually rose to 4 million silver taels. This made Shao Chun feel that it was interesting. Who was so bold to actually pay such a high price to purchase such a spirit core? Shao Chun sent his spiritual sense to VIP room 11. Soon, the situation in VIP room 11 appeared in front of him. After he saw it clearly, the corner of Shao Chun's mouth curled up into a smile. He said indifferently, "No wonder the competition is so intense. So is my big brother who wants this spirit core." In VIP room 11, Shao Jian's forehead was already covered in sweat. Originally, he was determined to obtain the Rainbow Flame Python Spirit Core. However, the current situation had greatly exceeded his expectations. Before the auction started, he had already seen the news of this Spirit Core on the auction list. This Spirit Core will be able to improve the quality of his Fire Cloud incantation. He immediately made a request to the First Elder. When the First Elder saw that the promise of 10 years was imminent and that Shao Jian really needed this Spirit Core, he did not say anything and immediately transferred 4 million silver taels to him. With 4 million silver taels, he originally thought that obtaining a mere rank 4 Spirit Core would be a piece of cake. However, he did not expect to encounter such a situation. When he called out 2 million, Tang Feng immediately chased up to 5 million. When he called out 3 million, Tang Feng immediately increased it to 5 million without any hesitation. Shao Jian, who had just called out 4 million, felt his heart thumping nonstop. This was already his limit. If the other party continued to increase the bid, he would not have any more chances. "Please don't increase the bid anymore. If I do not have this rainbow flame python spirit core, how am I going to defeat that trash? Xiao Jian wiped his sweat as he said, furthermore, I recently heard that that trash is already a medial grade martial disciple. I must obtain this rainbow flame python spirit core. When Xiao Chen heard this, he could not help but laugh. He could not understand why Xiao Jian was still so cautious when facing a medial grade martial disciple, even though he was already a martial master. Could it be that the failure in the dueling grounds had left too much of a shadow on Xiao Jian? Chapter 49. 4,500,000 silver taels. Booth 13 bid 4,500,000 silver taels. Is there a higher bid? No matter how Xiao Jian prayed, the voice that he did not want to hear the most was called out by the auctioneer with a beaming smile. 4,500,000 silver taels. Say it again. Is there a higher bid? The auctioneer's voice was filled with passion, enticing the people below. The people in the hall were all discussing this. No one expected the first item to be auctioned to be sold for a sky-high price of 4,500,000 silver taels. Within the booth, a mocking smile flashed on Tang Feng's face. He said, I was wondering how much you would bid. Only 5 million silver taels, and he can't hold on anymore. How boring. How can their Xiao clan bid more than our Tang clan? Furthermore, the clan head trusts second young master so much this time. He even brought 10 million silver taels over. How could Xiao Jian compete with young master? One of Tang Feng's attendants flattered. A satisfied smile appeared on Tang Feng's face. He wondered how much his strength would increase after he obtained the inner core of the rainbow flame python. 4,500,000 silver taels, going thrice success. When the auctioneer said this, he suddenly stopped. He revealed a pleasantly surprised smile and said, Quick, look, the guest in booth 1 has bid. The auctioneer's words immediately attracted everyone's attention to booth 1 on the 4th floor. Tang Feng also frowned. Why is there someone else bidding? Don't be fooled by how relaxed he sounded earlier. Actually, the highest he could go was 5 million silver taels. Any higher, and he would not be able to bid. This was because he still had to leave 5 million silver taels to bid for another item. That item was something that his father had personally instructed him to do. Thus, he did not dare to be careless. He had to preserve his 5 million silver taels. He could not help but feel nervous. Tang Feng instructed one of his attendants, Go and see how much the other side is bidding. Not only was Tang Feng concerned about the bid from booth number 1, but the auctioneer was also more concerned about the bid from booth number 1. After all, the higher the auction item's price was, the higher the commission he would receive would be. Why did booth 1 only bid 1 million silver taels? Tang Feng's attendant asked, feeling it was strange. Tang Feng rejoiced in his heart. It seemed like this fellow was here to cause trouble. He would not be able to bid more than 4,500,000 silver taels. Now he could relax. However, the auctioneer below suddenly revealed a shocked expression. He opened his mouth wide and was speechless for a long time. My God! How? How is this possible? VIP Booth 1's bid is 10 million gold taels. Tang Feng spat out a mouthful of wine and said in disbelief, Damn, how is this possible? 10 million gold taels. Even the 3 great clans of Mo City do not have so much money. It wasn't just Tang Feng who didn't believe it. Everyone in the Linlang Pavilion didn't believe it. What kind of concept was 1,000 taels of gold? 1 taels of gold was 10 million gold taels. Taels, taels, taels of silver taels. Silver taels of gold taels. Silver taels, gold taels. 1 gold taels. Even in the imperial capital, no one would casually offer 10 million taels of gold. This was such a large sum of money that ordinary people would never be able to earn so much money even if they spent hundreds of lifetimes. How is it possible for someone to spend so much money to buy a rank 4 inner core? He must be a swindler. I did not expect Linlang Pavilion to have such a swindler. Get that person to take out the gold taels. Who doesn't know how to talk big? The situation below the stage was in complete chaos. No one would believe that such a thing could happen in this small Mo city. They all thought that the person had run away after talking big. Tang Feng, who was in the booth, slowly calmed down after his anger. After thinking about it carefully, he felt that this was impossible. He was too nervous and should not have lost his composure. Second young master, I think that person is just talking big. I don't believe that he can really take out the 10 million taels of gold tails. The one who spoke was because he did not see Ling's attendant due to the angle. At this moment, he was afraid that Tang Feng would vent his anger on him. The auctioneer did not expect such a situation to occur. Regarding the matter of Booth 1, Nangong Yin had already informed him about it. No matter what price the other party offered, there would not be any problems. Seeing the chaotic situation, the auctioneer hurriedly said loudly, "Everyone, please calm down. Our Linlang Pavilion will definitely not allow swindlers to sneak in. What I want to say is that the guest in Booth 1 is definitely able to afford this price. The auction will continue. Rest assured, our Linlang Pavilion will definitely hand over the 10 million taels of gold to you." Xiao Chun, who was in the booth, laughed softly. 10 million taels of gold. I do not have that much money. However, that old man Nangong should have it. As for how Nangong Yin would solve the problem without the 1,000 taels of gold, it was not within Xiao Chen's scope of consideration. Bang! On the other side, Tang Feng clenched his fist tightly, shattering the wine cup in his hand. His expression was terrifyingly gloomy. "The two of you go and guard outside the booth. I want to see who this fellow is to be able to spend so much money." Xiao Jian, who was in booth 11, was similarly depressed. Even if Xiao Chun did not make a move, the Rainbow Flame Python inner core would not belong to him. Xiao Jian pushed open the door of the booth and walked out dejectedly. He did not manage to buy what he wanted. He did not want to stay in this bustling auction any longer. In a secret room at the bottom of Linlang Pavilion, there were all sorts of medicinal herbs and all sorts of refining equipment. Just the medicinal cauldrons alone were there. Nangong Yin took out all the medicinal pills that he obtained from Xiao Chun. His eyes revealed a fanatical expression. These were his opportunity to advance to grade 8 divine grade alchemist. However, this was not a good time. With the equipment here, the results of his research on these medicinal pills were limited. If he wanted to truly understand the secrets of these medicinal pills, he would have to return to the Nangong clan's headquarters. Only the imperial capital had the necessary equipment. However, when he thought of returning to the imperial capital, Nangong Yan's eyes revealed an indescribable rage. Nangong Yan sighed. "It has already been 10 years. It is time to go back and take a look." The door to the secret room suddenly opened, and two people wearing black robes appeared behind Nangong Yan. Nangong Yan turned around and looked at the two of them. "After I leave, you two start to keep a close eye on that black-clothed man. You must investigate him and the mysterious alchemist behind him." The two black-clothed men were martial grandmasters. They were death-sworn trained by Linlang Pavilion and specialized in carrying out shady missions. As for the missions that Nangong Yin gave them, it could be said that they would listen to him and would not resist at all. Nangong Yin muttered, "The ancient method of refining medicinal pills has been lost for thousands of years. I cannot miss out on this opportunity." Just as he was muttering to himself, a dangerous aura suddenly appeared. Nangong Yan's eyes lit up, and he released his perception with all his might. "There is danger. Be careful." The two martial grandmasters did not feel anything was wrong. When they heard this, they quickly put up their guard. They turned around and fixed their gazes on the stone door of the secret room. Suddenly, a petite figure descended from above the secret room. She held a short sword with both hands and appeared above the heads of the two black-clothed men. The petite figure moved in a ghostly manner in the air, and the short sword gave off a resplendent glow. Pussy-eye. Blood spurted out from the necks of the two black-clothed men. They groaned in pain and fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, the mysterious girl had easily killed the two martial grandmasters. Nangong Yin looked at the girl who had appeared. When he saw her true identity, his eyes were filled with astonishment. He said, "How can this be?" A sword spirit actually left her body to kill people. Ao Jiao did not answer Nangong Yan's question. She released the two broken swords in her hands. The broken swords turned into a flash of light and ruthlessly flew towards the walls of the secret room. Bang! The sword stabbed into the wall and easily sank into it. Cracks appeared on the wall like a spider web. The cracks extended continuously, and the entire secret room actually started to show signs of collapsing. Nan Gongyin did not have the time to be astonished because Ao Jiao was already flying towards him. She was really flying towards him. She did not stay on the ground for even a moment. She carried an incomparably tyrannical aura as she flew over and ruthlessly sent a palm strike at him. Bang! In a hurry, Nan Gongyin quickly sent out a palm strike and received Ao Jiao's unparalleled strike. The two palms collided. Nan Gongyin's body was continuously pushed back. The table and the cabinets containing the herbs behind him were all smashed into pieces. Pusi. The huge force from Ao Jiao's palm instantly shattered the essence that Nan Gongyin had gathered. His body crashed into the wall with a loud boom, and he vomited a mouthful of blood. Nan Gongyin had a pained expression on his face. Before he could say anything, he felt the force from Ao Jiao's palm increase again. With a loud boom, his entire body sank into the wall. Under the heavy palm strike, Nan Gongyin felt his internal organs shift positions. He felt a sense of helplessness in his heart. Despite being a martial king, the person in front of him could not retaliate at all. This sword spirit is at least a medial grade martial monarch. In that case, how strong is her master? Nan Gongyin thought in horror. However, he could not figure out which expert he had offended. Although he held a high position in the great Qin nation, he was very low profile. This was especially so in the past 10 years. He had been living in seclusion and had never left Mo City. May I ask who your master is? What kind of grudges do I have with him? Nan Gongyin asked in a hoarse voice. Even if he was going to die, he had to know the reason. The reply he got was an even more ferocious palm strike from Ao Jiao. Nan Gongyin vomited another mouthful of blood, and his body sank deeper into the wall. A human-shaped hole that was tens of meters wide appeared in the wall. It was formed when Nan Gongyin was struck by an irresistible force. Suddenly, Ao Jiao withdrew her palm. Nan Gongyin felt his body freeze. He had no time to catch his breath. Ao Jiao had already grabbed him by the collar and brought him back to the secret room. Inside the secret room, the cracks in the wall where the short sword stabbed earlier were still spreading. Rocks kept falling from above. This secret room that was built underground was actually going to collapse. Don't try to do what you just did. Never, ever. After Ao Jiao said this, she quickly left in a flash. The horrified Nan Gongyin finally knew who he had offended. He looked at the secret room that was about to collapse. He felt extremely pained in his heart. Most of the medicinal pills that he had refined over the past 10 years were stored in this secret room. Although some of the peak-grade medicinal pills were stored in his spatial ring, it looked like he would not be able to keep the medicinal pills that were rank 7 and below. After Nan Gongyin found the medicinal pills that he obtained from Xiao Chun, he did not linger. He immediately left the secret room in a flash. 2 seconds after he left, the secret room collapsed with a loud crash. Nan Gongyin, who was on the ground, looked at the large hole in the ground with lingering fear. He felt like he was still in a daze. In just a short 5 minutes, his 10 years of hard work had vanished. Chapter 50. Although the commotion in the secret room in the backyard of Linlang Pavilion was huge, the people in the hall did not notice it. After the chaos caused by the first auction item, the annual large-scale auction continued in an orderly manner. Xiao Qin watched helplessly as the auction continued. At this moment, the auction was already halfway through. However, Ao Jiao had not arrived yet. He did not dare to casually make a move. He had already bought a Rainbow Flame Python Spirit Core. If he were to make a move, he would only have one chance. At this moment, the second climax of the auction was about to begin. When the auctioneer announced that the next item was an inferior grade spirit stone, the atmosphere in the auction hall immediately flared up. Spirit stones were a special, kind of natural treasure. It contained the purest spiritual energy in the world. When a normal cultivator used a small piece of spirit stone, they could immediately raise their cultivation by 1 realm. Aside from that, if it was used in battle, it could immediately replenish one's essence. It was not like the fire-attributed spirit core from before, which could only be used by a certain group of people. It was very effective for cultivators below Martial Saint. The rarity of a spirit stone was comparable to the precious moonstone. In the Qianwu continent, aside from the Great Jin Nation, which had the largest spirit vein, the other spirit veins were all monopolized by the royal clan or some supersections. The other spirit veins that were given out were all monopolized by the country's royal family and some supersections. Ordinary warriors and some small forces could only obtain spirit stones through other unorthodox means. The auctioneer below introduced loudly, "Everyone, please look carefully. This is a genuine inferior grade spirit stone. I will not say much about the value of a spirit stone. I believe everyone is clear on it. Although it is the lowest grade spirit stone, it is still worth 1,000,000. Hence, the starting bid is 500,000. Each bid must be no less than 100,000. Just as the auctioneer finished speaking, there were enthusiastic calls for bids. Everyone here knew about treasures. Naturally, they understood the value of this inferior grade spirit stone. Many of the guests had come specifically for this inferior grade spirit stone. The price of a spirit stone continued to rise. Only when it reached 1,000,000 did the number of people calling for it slowly decrease. 1,000,000 was actually a threshold. After all, not everyone was like the Tang clan or the Shao clan, who would bid 4 or 5,000,000. Even if other people had so much money, they would have to weigh their own assets before bidding cautiously. Tang Feng, who was in VIP room 11, smiled and said, "It is time for us to make a bid. The clan head specifically instructed us to obtain this inferior grade spirit stone. Bid 2,000,000. As soon as Tang Feng made his bid, the auctioneer immediately shouted out his bid excitedly. Guest number 11 has made his move again, calling out a bid of 2,000,000 taels of silver. He is indeed very generous. Is there any higher bid? With regards to the high price of 2,000,000 taels of silver, the people sitting in the hall actually did not have much hope. The people who would be fighting next should be those in the VIP booths on the 4th floor. As expected, someone in room number 3 quickly raised the price to 2,200,000 silver taels. Immediately, the person in room number 4 raised the price to 2,500,000 silver taels. 2,500,000. This is not an auspicious number. The person in room number 4, are you sure you are not going to increase the bid? After the person in room number 4 made his bid, the auctioneer immediately said humorously. The person in room number 4 cursed in his heart. He steeled his heart and raised the price to 3,000,000 silver taels of silver. The auctioneer immediately smiled and announced his bid. Xiao Chan was actually very interested in the inferior grade spirit stone. This inferior grade spirit stone was even more beneficial to martial disciples. Using himself as an example, if he used this inferior grade spirit stone, his cultivation realm would immediately rise to superior grade martial disciple. Furthermore, it would not be like other medicinal pills, which would leave behind an unstable foundation or hindering cultivation. This was because the spirit stone contained the pure essence of spiritual energy. After using it, it would immediately rise. The essence in a martial disciple's body only needed to be digested for a day, and they would be able to completely stabilize their cultivation realm. There would not be any side effects. Unfortunately, Ao Jiao was not here. Xiaochen did not dare to make any rash decisions. He had already done so once before. Now, there were only 2 chances left. He could not miss it. Ao Jiao had already locked on her target. However, when he saw the inferior grade spirit stone being auctioned off, Xiao Chan could not help but feel an itch in his heart. This was a spirit stone that could raise one's cultivation realm. Xiao Chan grumbled, "I have no idea where Ao Jiao ran off to. She still has not returned. Since you want to buy it, then take it." The sudden voice startled Xiao Chan. He turned his head to take a look. Indeed, it was Ao Jiao standing behind him. Xiao Chen originally wanted to grumble a little. However, when he saw that her expression was not right, he took back his words. "Hey, Ao Jiao, are you all right? Why is your complexion so bad?" Ao Jiao said, "If something happens to you, nothing will happen to me. Do you think my body is the same as yours? You actually know how to look at my complexion. This spirit stone is a good thing for you now. You can buy it. Xiao Chen thought about it and agreed. Ao Jiao was a weapon spirit. If her complexion was not right, it could not be explained with human logic. On the other hand, Ao Jiao's words made Xiao Chen happy. Can I really buy it? I already bought a 7-colored flame python spirit core earlier. If I buy it, I will only have one more chance to use it with Nangong Yan. It's fine. The thing that I want has not been auctioned yet, Ao Jiao said indifferently. Xiao Chun smiled. Then I can rest assured. The people in the VIP booths continued to bid for the inferior grade spirit stone. At this moment, the price had already reached 4 million silver taels. In VIP booth 11, Tang Feng calmly drank a mouthful of wine and said, "It is already 4 million. It is time for the killing blow. Call out 6 million. Let's see who will bid higher than me." When the attendant behind him heard this, he quickly went to the window and called out Tang Feng's bid. When the auctioneer saw the bid from VIP booth 11 again, the smile on his face bloomed like a flower. He said passionately, "VIP booth 11 always surprises us." He bid 6 million silver taels. When the auctioneer called out Tang Feng's bid, the noise in the auction hall stopped. Everyone guessed that this was the highest bid. A normal inferior grade spirit stone would be sold for around 5 million silver taels. Tang Feng had called out an additional 1 million. It was clear that he was determined to win it. The person in VIP booth 4 smacked the table violently. His face was filled with anger, but there was nothing he could do. When the auctioneer saw that no one was bidding, he said, 6 million silver taels. There should be no higher bid. If there is none, I will start the countdown. Hearing the auctioneer's voice, Tang Feng revealed a pleased expression on his handsome face. He smiled and said, "It is not a bad thing that I did not obtain the 7-colored flame python spirit core. At least I now have enough capital to pocket this spirit stone." However, after Tang Feng waited for a long time, he still did not hear the sound of the auction being completed. He frowned and could not help but feel suspicious. He said to the attendant behind him, "Go and see what's going on. Why is the auctioneer not announcing the completion of the auction?" That attendant quickly went to the window and looked down. He saw the auctioneer staring blankly at the window of VIP booth 1. His mouth was wide open, but he could not say a word. He had completely lost the qualities that an auctioneer should have. The attendant quickly turned his gaze to the opposite booth. After he saw clearly, he turned around and said in a trembling voice, "Second young master, it seems like VIP booth 1 has made a bid again." Tang Feng felt his heart skip a beat. The wine cup that he was about to drink stopped. He had a bad premonition. VIP booth 1 bids again. It is still 10 million gold taels. The auctioneer wiped the sweat off his forehead and finally spoke again. Bang! Tang Feng crushed the wine cup in his hand once again. His expression was so gloomy that it made people want to see it. He said coldly, "Are you messing with me? In this most city, there is no one who dares to mess with me like this." The crowd below was thrown into chaos once again. If this was the first time someone bid 10 million gold taels, it would be abnormal. However, everyone believed that there was still a possibility that it was not too ridiculous. However, at this moment, the same person in the same booth had bid 10 million gold taels again. Even a fool would know that this was not normal. No one would squander their money like this. The situation below was even more chaotic than before. The auctioneer remembered Nangong Yan's instructions and did his best to pacify the crowd. After much difficulty, he managed to get the auction to continue. Ao Jiao smiled gently. "You are really too much of a scoundrel. You actually dare to bid 10 million gold taels so casually. Nangong Yan will be angered to death by you." Xiao Chan shrugged his shoulders and said, "I like to be direct. I do not like this kind of bidding war. Furthermore, this is what Nangong Yan promised me. For the things that I fancy, no matter what the final price is, he will pay for it. As for whether he can do it or not, that is his problem. It has nothing to do with me." In the following auctions, because the item that Ao Jiao mentioned did not appear, Xiao Chun did not make a move. The chaos caused by Xiao Chun slowly calmed down. Just as the auction was about to end, Ao Jiao suddenly said, "The next item is a piece of superior grade frost iron. You just have to bid for it." Xiao Chan did not understand. "What do you want that frost iron for?" Ao Jiao said, "Of course I have no use for it. You brought so many moonstones this morning. Did you think I did not see it? You idiot, don't tell me you think that moonstones are the only thing needed to forge a spirit weapon." Xiao Chen's face turned slightly red. "I did not think too much about it. I thought that the other materials could be obtained locally." Ao Jiao said, "There is nothing wrong with obtaining locally. It is just that this frost iron is a rarely seen superior grade frost iron. After I refine it, it can reach the quality of peak grade frost iron. If you only want to forge a profound rank spirit weapon, you can give up on this frost iron." Hearing that Ao Jiao could raise the quality of this frost iron, Xiao Chen rejoiced in his heart. He knew a thing or two about the rarity and preciousness of peak-grade frost iron. In this world, other than a very small amount of peak-grade frost iron that could be produced naturally, the other peak-grade frost iron could only be obtained by refining superior-grade frost iron. However, this method of refining was something that only a few people in the Tianwu continent could grasp. From what Xiao Chen knew, within the Great Qin nation, only the heavenly craftsman had grasped this method of refining. As such, after he obtained this superior grade frost iron, along with a large amount of moonstones in his hands, he might be able to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Chapter 51. Since that was the case, Xiao Chen did not hesitate any longer. When the auctioneer announced the start of the bidding, he immediately called out his bid. It was still 10 million gold taels. The chaos that Xiao Chen originally imagined did not appear. The people below were still numb to Xiao Chen's bid. The only ones who felt anxious were the people who placed the bids. Their emotions could be said to be a mixture of joy and worry. They were afraid that Xiao Chen was just a braggart, but they also thought that with the great reputation of Linlang Pavilion, it would be impossible for them to go back on their word. After the auction ended, someone immediately brought the 3 items that Xiao Chen had auctioned off to Xiao Chen's room and checked them carefully. Rainbow Flame Python Inner Core, Inferior Grade Spirit Stone, and Superior Grade Frost Iron. There were no problems with the quality. Xiao Chen did not leave immediately. He handed the frost iron in his hand to Ao Jiao and said, "Can I refine it here? I feel that there are 2 people outside staring at me." Ao Jiao said indifferently, "Your perception is not bad. There are indeed 2 flies hiding outside. There is no special requirement for the location to refine this superior grade frost iron." That piece of frost iron was about the size of a school bag. When Xiao Chen held it in his hand, he felt that it weighed at least 100 kilograms. It was as black as ink and looked very thick. Ao Jiao easily held the frost iron in her hand. She waited a few times before tossing it into the air. A white flame shot out from her palm and enveloped the frost iron in the air. Xiao Chen carefully observed Ao Jiao's every move. He memorized every step that she took. The method of refining superior grade frost iron was an extremely rare secret technique in the continent. It was only in the hands of a few people. In the Great Qin Empire, only the heavenly craftsman possessed such a technique. This was a good opportunity for him to learn. The white flame burned slowly. Xiao Chen discovered that this flame was very strange. It did not have the ferocity and tyranny of a normal flame. Instead, it gave off a warm feeling. What kind of flame is this? Xiao Chen wondered. Ao Jiao had the intention to teach Xiao Chen. While maintaining the flame, she explained, "This flame is not a flame cultivated by a cultivator. It is a human flame that has existed in the world for a long time. It is called the Bone Ghost Fire. Back then, the Thunder King, Sang Mu, subdued it while cultivating in the 9 hells purgatory. After he died, he left this flame to me." Human fire? There was actually such a strange flame existing between heaven and earth. It was really an eye-opener. However, he didn't know what was so special about this human flame. Ao Jiao continued to explain that there were 4 types of extremely precious flames in the world, namely human flame, dragon flame, ghost flame, and heavenly flame. In the martial heaven continent, there were a total of 9 dragon veins. At the end of these dragon veins was the imperial Tao flame. Of the 9 dragon flames, it was known that 5 had been taken by someone. The remaining 4 had never been found. Aside from the fact that the dragon flames were buried 10,000 meters underground and the environment was incomparably harsh, the most important reason was that the remaining 4 dragon veins could change. According to legend, the possessor of the dragon flames could establish a dynasty. Unless one had the fate of a ruler, it would be impossible to find the dragon flames. Ghost flames existed in places of extreme Yin. They were mysterious and unfathomable, possessing the might of gods and ghosts. There were 2 places of extreme Yin in the continent. One was the profound Yin cave, which was tens of thousands of meters deep, and the other was the 9 hells purgatory, which was known as hell in the mortal world. These 2 places were forbidden lands of the continent. However, the ghost flames that existed in them had been taken away by senior experts thousands of years ago. However, in the past few years, the ghost flames rarely appeared in the mortal world. No one knew if new ghost flames had appeared in these 2 places of extreme Yin. The heavenly flame was publicly recognized as the most horrifying flame in the world. According to legend, it was a flame that could refine the entire world. This kind of flame was only recorded in the history books. It was possessed by the Tianwu Emperor, who founded the Tianwu dynasty and unified the continent 10,000 years ago. Following the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty, this kind of flame that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth had already disappeared in the long river of history. As for the final human flame, it was rather special. It was not a natural flame. It should be said that it was not formed purely from the power of nature. It was a special flame formed from the energy of the martial god, the strongest cultivator in the mortal world, after he passed away. When his body and soul were destroyed, it was formed from the energy of the martial god. After the martial god died, the huge energy in his body would not disappear. After this huge energy settled for a long time, it would form all sorts of strange flames. These were called human flames. When Xiao Chun heard the introduction, he felt his heart tremble. The world was vast, and there were all sorts of strange things. It was not something that could be seen in this small Mo city. He could not wait to go out and explore the world. Unfortunately, the promise of 10 years was not up yet. Since Xiao Chun had agreed to do something, he would naturally do his best. He could not leave now. Do martial gods really exist in this world? Xiao Chun asked. Ao Jiao's gaze was fixed on the frost iron wrapped in flames. She replied, "Of course, there are countless geniuses in the world. Although it is rare to reach the martial god realm, it is not impossible. Furthermore, according to the legends, there are mysterious existences above the martial god realm." Xiao Chun continued to ask that Thunder King, Sang Mu, did he break through to the martial god realm? Ao Jiao said indifferently, he was just 1 step away from it, yet he was killed by someone. I can only say that it was hard for him to change his fate. Xiao Chun found it hard to calm down for a long time. Someone as strong as the Thunder Emperor was actually killed by someone in the end. This was simply unbelievable. Could the person who killed him be the legendary martial god? Xiao Chun told Ao Jiao about the doubts in his heart. Ao Jiao only said indifferently, "This is not something you should be thinking about now. Although you inherited the Thunder Wood Sword's inheritance, you do not have to bear the responsibility of taking revenge for him." This did not seem right. How could there be benefits for no reason in this world? Unexpectedly, he did not have to bear any responsibility. This caused Xiao Chun to feel very surprised. With regards to Ao Jiao's appearance, Xiao Chun had always been more worried than happy. At this moment, when he heard her say this, he felt slightly relieved. However, Ao Jiao's next words nearly caused Xiao Chun to vomit blood. Although you do not have to bear the responsibility of taking revenge for the Thunder King, it is hard to say if trouble will come looking for you. So, Trashy Master, you better become stronger as soon as possible. Xiao Chun was completely speechless. There were too many mysteries surrounding Ao Jiao. Why did the sword in the Thunder King's cave break? Who killed the Thunder King? How did he become her master? Until now, Xiao Chun knew very little. Furthermore, No matter how he asked Ao Jiao, she would not say anything. Today, she revealed a little, but it was still very confusing. Hu Qi, the black profound iron that was enveloped by the flames, had already turned into a ball of molten metal. It was clear that the heat contained within the bone specter flame was a huge contrast to the warmth on the surface. The two of them spoke for less than 5 minutes, and the superior-grade frost iron had already turned into a ball of molten metal. If Xiao Chun used the purple Thundertrue fire to refine it, it would take at least half a day. With such a huge difference, one could imagine how strong the bone specter flame was. Ao Jiao shouted lightly. Her adorable face revealed a serious expression once again, causing others to be unable to restrain their laughter. Suddenly, a glowing broken sword appeared in her right hand. She brandished it at the molten metal within the flames. In an instant, sparks flew in all directions in the booth. The flames gave off an intense explosion in the air. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he quickly hid behind Ao Jiao. Every time a strand of flame shot out, the bone specter flame lost a drop of molten metal. Xiao Chun thought to himself, this should be the removal of the impurities in the superior grade frost iron. Normally, when the frost iron reached superior grade, there would be very few impurities in it. If one wanted to remove the impurities without wasting the essence of the frost iron, one had to be very careful. Aside from having a good eye, the most important thing was the speed at which the saber was drawn. Although the molten metal looked still, it was actually flowing at a high speed within it. Xiao Chun released his spiritual sense and entered the inner world of the molten metal. Before him was a fiery red world. Even though it was Xiao Chen's spiritual sense that entered, he could still feel the horrifying temperature. In this fiery red world, there were clumps of unknown substances that Xiao Chun could not identify. They were constantly being squeezed and flowing. Xiao Chun observed carefully for a long time before he finally discovered something. The pure black substance should be the essence of the frost iron. Occasionally, there would be some gray iron residue being removed from the black substance. The short sword in Ao Jiao's hand was as precise as the precision instruments in his previous life. When the gray substance was removed, the essence was not wasted at all. It was all preserved. Xiao Chun withdrew his spiritual sense and looked at Ao Jiao's cute face once again. His eyes were filled with admiration. Not only did Ao Jiao know how to refine medicine, but the skill that she displayed now was clearly not something that an ordinary person could do. How many secrets does this little girl have? Can I really trust her completely? It's done. Ao Jiao heaved a sigh of relief and said joyfully. She withdrew the bone specter flame into her hand and waved it gently. A fist-sized piece of frost iron appeared in her petite hand. Her eyes revealed an expression of joy. Trashy master, this is for you. Xiao Chun received the peak-grade frost iron from Ao Jiao. He was incomparably happy. This fist-sized piece of peak-grade frost iron was more than 100 times more valuable than the superior-grade frost iron. However, at this moment, Xiao Chun discovered that Ao Jiao's expression had become even weaker. There was a fire in his heart for no reason. You lied to me earlier, right? Your complexion is so terrible. You must have done something dangerous when you went out earlier. You even lied to me, saying that the physique of a sword spirit is different from a human's. Hence, you cannot judge things by their complexion. Your current situation is caused by overexertion. Ao Jiao quibbled. You actually used the eyes of a human to judge a sword spirit. You are really trash and an idiot. You can deal with the flies outside yourself. After Ao Jiao finished speaking, she seemed to know that she was in the wrong. She entered the universe ring and did not come out again. Xiao Chun sighed in his heart. Your sister. No wonder you were called Ao Jiao. The Thunder King did not give her the wrong name. Her Tsundere attribute is still very high. Xiao Chun released his spiritual sense and carefully observed the two Tang clan disciples hiding outside. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. Trying to target this young master? You are too inexperienced. Chapter 52. After Tang Feng placed all the items into his universe ring, he tightened the black cloak on his body and left the private room, heading for the back door of Linlang Pavilion. He ignored the two Tang clan disciples following behind him. One of the two people behind him said, "Go and report to second young master. I will follow him first." "Good, you follow him first. Do not lose him. Otherwise, if second young master gets angry, you and I will be in trouble." Tang Feng, who was in the private room, was anxiously waiting for news from his subordinates. That inferior grade spirit stone was something his father had repeatedly instructed him to obtain. At this moment, someone had disrupted his plans, and he did not complete his mission. If he returned empty-handed, he would definitely be punished. Bang! The door to the private room opened. When Tang Feng saw his follower, he was overjoyed. He quickly said, "Is there any news? Who is so daring to snatch something that I have my eyes on?" That follower rushed over, panting nonstop. He wanted to say something, but could not. Tang Feng scolded, "Trash, if you have something to say it quickly. If that person escapes, I will take your life." The follower's heart tightened, and he said while gasping for breath, "Report, second young master." That person was wearing a large black cloak. I could not see his appearance clearly. However, his strength is only that of a medial-grade martial disciple. Tang San is currently following him. He will not lose him. Just a medial-grade martial disciple. A gleam flashed in Tang Feng's eyes as he continued. "Then did you see the auctioneer send those 3 items to his room?" "I saw it." "Good." Tang Feng laughed coldly. "A mere medial-grade martial disciple actually dares to disrupt my plans twice. I want to see if he has 3 heads and 6 arms. The 4 of you can go." "Medial-grade martial disciple, don't tell me you can't even settle this." "I will go back and explain the situation to my father first." "Second young master, rest assured. Not to mention a medial-grade martial disciple. Even a superior-grade martial disciple would not be able to escape from me," Tang Feng's martial master follower said. At the same time, in the backyard of Linlang Pavilion, Nangong Yin was sending people to clean up the collapsed secret room. Hopefully, he would be able to find some pills that were not damaged. After all, this was the result of 10 years of hard work. It was truly heartbreaking to see them disappear just like that. Just at this moment, the manager of Linlang Pavilion's auction walked over. His expression was extremely ugly as he stood behind Nangong Yin. He wanted to say something, but he did not know what to say. When Nangong Yin saw the situation, he frowned and said unhappily, "Old Li, if you have something to say, just say it." When Old Li heard this, his forehead beaded with sweat. He carefully said, "Pavilion Master, I've done what you asked me to do. The alchemist has already auctioned off 3 items. When Nangong Yin heard this, he smiled and said, "I was wondering what the matter is. Why are you so anxious over such a small matter? By the way, what did he have his eyes on?" When Old Li saw that the Pavilion Master was not in a bad mood, he relaxed a little. He said, "A rainbow flame python inner core, an inferior grade spirit stone, and a piece of superior grade frost iron." Nangong Yin laughed heartily. "Your eyesight is quite accurate. Huh? These are all good things. Even in Luojia continent, these are rare treasures." Old Li hesitated for a long time before he finally made up his mind. He slowly said, "However, the Pavilion Master's final bid was quite high." Nangong Yin said unhappily, "What's wrong? Are you worried that I can't afford it?" "It will not be easy for you to explain to the higher-ups what price he bid." 10 million gold taels. 10 million. Nangong Yin only spoke halfway before his expression changed. He said, "How much did you say?" "Say it again." 3 items. Each of them was sold for 10 million gold taels. That is a total of 30 million gold taels. Old Li had already anticipated that something was wrong, but he still said it. F*CKU. When Nangong Yin heard this, he disregarded his status and cursed. The surrounding attendants and Old Li were all startled. Others might not know Nangong Yan's identity, but it was impossible for them not to know. He was a younger brother of the Nangong clan's clan head, Nangong Lai. Furthermore, he was the Great Qi Nation's top alchemist. Even the emperor of the Great Qi Nation had to curry favor with him. Now that Nangong Yin disregarded his status and cursed, it was easy to imagine how angry he was. This caused them to be extremely terrified. If Nangong Yin really blamed them, they would not be able to keep their heads. Oldly knelt on the ground and said fearfully, "Pavilion Master, should we send people to capture him? He should not have gone far." When Nangong Yin heard this, he was extremely angry. He was not even a match for that person. If these people went, how could they survive? He scolded, "Reckless fool, did I say that I was going to pursue this matter?" Oldly did not know what he said wrong. He said, "Pavilion Master, weren't you so angry earlier? Could it be that you're going to let that person off?" Nangong Yin calmed himself down. The mental state of a rank 7 alchemist was not that weak. He said indifferently, "Don't bother yourself with this matter. Remember, do not seek trouble with that person. In the future, if that person comes again, you must treat him with respect. Do not neglect him. I will settle the matter of the 30 million gold taels myself." "Looks like I'll have to leave late." Nangong Yin smiled bitterly to himself. He could only refine a few more rank 7 medicinal pills to settle this matter. However, he still felt indignant in his heart. 30 million gold taels. How much of a beast would he be to ask for it? Outside Linlang Pavilion, Xiao Chun wore a black cloak and walked slowly. With his spiritual sense, Xiao Chun could see the 4 people following behind him very clearly. 1 inferior grade martial master and 3 superior grade martial disciples were a little difficult to deal with. "I have to deal with that martial master in the shortest time possible," Xiao Chun thought to himself. Unknowingly, Xiao Chun had already arrived at a desolate alley. The alley was very narrow. Only 2 people could pass through it side by side. This place was already quite a distance away from the bustling streets. There was not a single person in sight. They should be making a move here, Xiao Chun thought to himself. Indeed, it was as Xiao Chun expected. When he raised his head, there was a cultivator dressed in blue. When Xiao Chun turned around, he saw 3 cultivators blocking his way. An inferior grade martial master blocked the way in front and 3 superior grade martial disciples behind. With a pincer attack, Xiao Chun looked like he had no way to escape. "Everyone, why have you followed me all the way from Linlang Pavilion?" As Xiao Chun spoke, he circulated the purple thunder divine incantation in his body. He only wanted to kill this person in one move. "I can't be bothered to speak nonsense with you. If you know what's good for you, obediently hand over all the things you bought from the auction. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death." Under the cloak, Xiao Chun revealed a faint smile. The qi and blood in his entire body surged. He was already at his peak, waiting for his opponent to reveal an opening. Xiao Chun pretended to think. He turned around and said to the inferior grade martial master, "Do you want the inferior grade spirit stone? I can give it to you." After Xiao Chun spoke, he waved his hand and the inferior grade spirit stone flew out. Under the sunlight, the inferior grade spirit stone gave off a bright glow. The inferior grade martial master flew through the air and slowly descended towards the superior grade martial master. Although the superior grade martial master was suspicious, there was definitely a trap for Xiao Chun to hand over the inferior grade spirit stone so obediently. However, the superior grade martial master did not care about it. He believed that as a medial grade martial master, he would not be able to do much harm to him. Just as the spirit stone was about to land on the ground, the superior grade martial master, who had been staring at Xiao Chun, finally shifted his gaze to the spirit stone in the air. He leaped up gently and stretched out his right hand, wanting to catch the falling spirit stone. "Hu Chi!" Xiao Chun smiled coldly in his heart. He shouted and stomped on the ground, leaving behind a 2-meter deep footprint. His figure shot forward like an arrow. When the superior grade martial master saw that Xiao Chun had made a move, he quickly stopped trying to catch the spirit stone. His expression was filled with confidence as he sent out a palm strike, wanting to block Xiao Chun's attack. However, he had lost the initiative and his mind was relaxed. How could he block the full-powered palm strike of Xiao Chun when he was in his peak state? Everywhere the palm wind passed, wind and thunder howled, and a purple light flickered. The superior grade martial master only felt an electric light coming from his palm. A numb feeling spread throughout his body. His hands and feet actually turned stiff for a moment. Bang! Xiao Chun did not show mercy after gaining the upper hand. He kicked the person in front of him into the air. Ooh! A purple flame spun rapidly on the tip of Xiao Chen's finger. After an unknown number of times, it flew towards the person in the air. There was a crisp sound, and a bloody hole the size of a finger appeared in the middle of the person's forehead. By the time he was in the air, the purple electric light that Xiao Chun had attached to his body had already been eliminated. The instant the flames shot towards him, he immediately covered his entire body in flames. However, Xiao Chen's purple thunder true fire was no longer the same as before. Its penetrative ability was no longer the same as before. It instantly pierced through his essence shield. The flame that was left in his mind started to burn slowly. The hole in his body that was being eaten by the flame was getting bigger and bigger. Under the sunlight, his body was like a pile of burning wood. After it was burned, it turned into ashes that slowly fell from the sky. When the wind blew before it landed on the ground, it had already turned into ashes forever. Although the situation seemed to take a long time to describe, it actually happened in an instant. Xiao Chun made a move to paralyze the other party. Then, he kicked the other party into the air and shot out the purple thunder true fire. All of this happened in the time it took for 3 breaths. When the 3 people behind Xiao Chun saw their comrade turn into ashes, a boundless fear appeared in their eyes. In the blink of an eye, the strongest person on their side had been eliminated. This person was really only a medial-grade martial disciple. Their gazes landed on the cloaked Xiao Chun once again. This time, Xiao Chun was like a grim reaper that had just walked out of hell. Beat this fellow up. No matter how strong he is, he's just a medial-grade martial disciple. Furthermore, he does not have a weapon. I don't believe he can kill the 3 of us, one of them said boldly. When the remaining 2 people heard this, they quickly drew their weapons. If they could not complete the mission given by the second young master, they would receive a heavy punishment. Although the person in front of them was terrifying, it was not as if they did not have a chance of victory. However, when they drew their weapons, they were shocked to discover that they could not use their weapons in such a narrow alley. They could not help but feel vexed. Under the cloak, Xiao Chun smiled mockingly. Did you think I casually walked into an alley? I foolishly followed you in. Today, none of you can escape. Chapter 53. 3 superior grade martial cultivators who could not use their weapons could only walk side by side in this narrow alley. Xiao Chun only needed to deal with 2 of them. It was not a difficult task. Furthermore, with 2 people walking side by side, it was not as convenient as Xiao Chun. After he dealt with the 3 of them, Xiao Chun did not even exhaust half of his essence. He shot out a few flames and turned the people on the ground into ashes. Xiao Chun took off his black cloak and slowly left this desolate alley. Walking forward, there was actually a blacksmith shop at the end of the alley. This blacksmith shop was very shabby. The paint on the wooden signboard had already fallen off. It looked like a moldy wooden board. Xiao Chun remembered his purpose for coming out today and decided to go in and take a look. Since he had already come this far, there was no harm in taking a look. The area of this shop was very small. There was not even a complete shelf in the narrow shop. Many of the ironware were piled up in the corner, making the shop look even more cramped. Xiao Chun looked around. Among the pile of ironware, he actually discovered some farming tools. He could not help but find it funny. They actually started selling farming tools. How bad must their business be? I actually thought of coming here to forge spirit weapons. The most important thing was that Xiao Chun had been here for a period of time, and there was not a single person in the shop. This was very strange. Xiao Chun did not have any intention to continue staying and was about to leave. Wait, don't leave first. Go and take a look at the weapons in the corner. Suddenly, Ao Jiao's voice appeared in his mind. Xiao Chun said unhappily, "It is just a pile of scrap metal. I don't think there is anything nice to look at. If I tell you to look, then just look." Xiao Chun was helpless. He could only walk to the corner where the ironware was piled up and casually took out a sword. This was a refined iron sword that was 2 fingers wide and 1 meter long. Its design was not extravagant and looked very plain. Xiao Chun was not good with weapons. After looking at it for a long time, he could not see anything special about it. He stood up and held the sword in his hand, waving it a few times. Xiao Chun stabbed the sword at various angles in the air without making any sound. Xiao Chun also did not feel any strange power. Putting the sword back in the corner, Xiao Chun suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He held the sword in his hand again and swung it a few times. There was still no sound, and he did not feel any strange power. A trace of amazement flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. He put down the long sword in his hand and chose an even thinner long sword from the corner. He waved it with all his might, but he still didn't hear any strange sounds or hear any sounds. How is it possible for this sword to not make a sound? Earlier, the sword was too heavy. However, this sword is as thin as a cicada's wings. Why is it still unable to make a sound? Asked a puzzled Xiao Chun. Ao Jiao suddenly popped out and said, "That's not how you use a sword." When Xiao Chun saw that Xiao Chen's complexion was much better, he put down his previous worries. He asked, "What's with the swords here?" Ao Jiao did not say anything. She took the sword from Xiao Chen's hand and casually took a stance. She stood there quietly. Xiao Chen could feel her aura rising continuously. It was as though she could pierce through the sky in the next moment. Pussy Ao Jiao suddenly made her move. She brandished the sword in the air twice. The sword that was as thin as a cicada's wings gave off a joyful hum in the air. The sound was clear and melodious. It was like rain falling on the ground, dripping nonstop. Wong. There was a continuous hum. In the next moment, all the weapons in the entire shop started to hum. It was like a lover who had finally found the person they liked. The sound was extremely joyful. Xiao Chun looked at all this in disbelief. He took the sword from Ao Jiao's hand again. All the swords in the shop immediately stopped buzzing. No matter how hard Xiao Chun tried, there was no sound. It was as though it was dead. Yes, it was as though it was dead. This was a mouthful. The sword itself was a dead object. How could it be said that it was as though it was dead? However, at this moment, Xiao Chun thought of this phrase. Why is it that when this sword is in my hand, it is like a dead object? When it is in your hand, it immediately comes to life. Xiao Chun asked Ao Jiao. When talking about swords, Ao Jiao's face was filled with pride. It was a pity that her cute face looked more like a girl when she was proud. Although you don't understand swords, this analogy is very good. Listening to the sword and communicating with it. Those who understand will naturally understand. Those who don't understand will naturally not understand. These words were very confusing. Xiao Chun said, "Can you explain it in simpler terms?" Ao Jiao thought for a while and said, "In simpler terms, these weapons, under the skillful hands of the blacksmiths, possess simple spirituality after they are cast. Those who have a certain level of understanding towards weapons can unleash more than 2 times the power of a weapon. On the other hand, those who can't even unleash half of the power." Xiao Chun was delighted. It seemed like the owner of this shop was a senior expert. He said, "With so many spiritual swords placed here, isn't the senior afraid that they will be taken away?" Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "Although the swords have gained spirituality, they're only cast from ordinary iron. How strong can they be? If it is just a competition of strength, I'm afraid that any of the swords here can't even compare to the most basic spirit weapon." I didn't expect to meet someone who understands swords in this desolate little shop. My swords have not made a sound for 10 years. Suddenly, a heroic laughter came from the back of the shop. A tall and sturdy man with a square face slowly walked out from the back door. At first glance, this person gave off an incomparably heroic feeling. However, there seemed to be something wrong with his left leg, as he walked with a limp. That person first looked at Xiao Chun, then turned his gaze to Ao Jiao. His eyes shot out a ray of amazement and said, "What a spiritual sword spirit! No wonder you understand swords so well." Then he turned his gaze back to Xiao Chun and said, "Pardon me for asking, but what kind of divine weapon does little friend have? Can you take it out and take a look?" As expected of a senior expert, he could see through Ao Jiao's background with one look. Xiao Chun cupped his hands and bowed, saying, "Senior has good eyesight. However, this one spirit weapon has already been destroyed. I really can't take it out." That person's eyes revealed a doubtful look and said, The divine weapon has already been destroyed? How is that possible? If that's the case, then the sword's spirit. With a broken leg, are you still able to forge a spirit weapon? Ao Jiao suddenly interrupting that person's words. Xiao Chen looked at Ao Jiao in astonishment. She interrupted that person's words. She was definitely trying to hide something. However, this was not the time to talk about this. Xiao Chan said apologetically to that person, "Senior, I'm sorry. My sword spirit cannot speak. I apologize." That person smiled and said, "It's fine. My name is Mo Fan. Don't keep calling me senior. If you don't mind, you can call me Big Brother Mo." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I am Xiao Chun. Big Brother Mo, are you still able to forge a spirit weapon?" Mo Fan's eyes were filled with shock. "Xiao Chun, you are Mo City Xiao Clan's second young master, Xiao Chun." Xiao Chen nodded his head, but his heart was in turmoil. Could it be that this person knows me? However, I don't seem to have any impression of him in my memories. Could it be that before I transmigrated, Xiao Chun had done something to offend this person? If that was the case, it would be difficult to deal with him. It was not easy to find a good blacksmith in Mo City. If it was because of this matter, it would be a pity. And Mo Fan said, "Brother Xiao Chun, did you save a little girl on the streets a month ago? That was my daughter. I did not expect to meet you today." So it was because of this matter. Xiao Chen relaxed. He did not expect that a small matter back then would turn into a favor. Xiao Chan smiled. "That day, I left in a hurry. Was the little girl all right after that? Did she get any fright?" Mo Fan laughed loudly. "That little girl was very wild. I was not paying attention, and she slipped away. When I returned, I heard what happened from the people beside me. I'm indebted to you for making a move. The little girl did not get any fright. Everything is fine. I thank you for that." The two of them continued on this topic and chatted for a while. Suddenly, Xiao Chan asked the question he had earlier. "Big Brother Mo, why was there no one guarding the shop when we arrived?" Mo Fan smiled awkwardly. "Humans have 3 urgent needs. There were no other workers in the shop, so there was no one guarding it." Xiao Chen sweated in his heart. He did not expect such a reason. He quickly changed the topic. "Big Brother Mo, are you still able to forge spirit weapons?" When Mo Fan heard this, the expression in his eyes slowly turned serious. He said, "Brother Xiao Chun, I would like to speak with your sword spirit alone. Could you please step aside for now? I have the same intention. You don't have to care about this trash's opinion," Ao Jiao said. Xiao Chun was not satisfied in his heart. He had just killed 4 cultivators with a higher cultivation than him. Why was Ao Jiao still looking down on him? Although there was a little bit of trickery involved, he had personally killed them all. There was no exaggeration at all. Ao Jiao said, "I can tell you are not satisfied just by looking at you. If you can make any of the weapons here make a sound, I will not say anything." Xiao Chan said helplessly, "Big Brother Mo, I will go out for a while." Outside the door, Xiao Chun smiled in his heart. "Although I am gone, my spiritual sense can still enter. Whatever you say will not escape my ears. Sister Tsundara, you want to hide from me? You are too naive." When Ao Jiao saw Xiao Chun go out, she waved her hand and a faint yellow barrier surrounded the entire shop. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense was blocked outside. "You left so obediently. You definitely have a backup plan. Do you think I don't know what you are thinking? You are too naive." After Ao Jiao finished setting up the barrier, she said, "Let's make this short. Which generation of the Supreme Sky Sect successor are you? Have you awakened your Hao Ian hammer yet? How much of an impact does this injured leg have on you?" Mo Fan's jaw dropped. He said in disbelief, "Who exactly are you? How do you know so much about me? Why do I feel a familiar aura from you?" Chapter 54. It is not strange. My body was forged by the 3rd generation sect master of the Supreme Sky Sect, Ao Jiao said indifferently. Mo Fan was startled again. "Subdivine weapon, Thunderwood sword. Didn't you fall together with the Thunder King, Sang Mu, 1,000 years ago?" Ao Jiao frowned slightly and said, "You do not have to care about my matters. You have not answered my question yet." Mo Fan looked at his crippled leg and said, "The Supreme Sky Sect was destroyed long ago. I am the last inheritor of the Supreme Sky Sect. This crippled leg was injured by an enemy, causing the circulation of essence to be blocked. Now, I can only forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon at best. It is impossible for me to forge a divine weapon. Ao Jiao nodded and said, Heaven-ranked spirit weapon? That is far more than enough. Xiao Chun, who was outside the door, suddenly realized that the barrier blocking his spiritual sense had disappeared. He quickly walked in and glared at Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao directly ignored him. Mo Fan saw that Xiao Chun had already entered and said, Brother Xiao Chun, what kind of spirit weapon do you want to forge? Have you prepared all the materials? Hearing this, Xiao Chun quickly took out the moonstone and the peak-grade profound iron from his universe ring. He said, These are all the materials I brought. I want to forge a saber. Mo Fan looked at the pile of moonstone on the ground that was 2 feet high. His eyes were wide open. He had an expression of disbelief. Finally, he shifted his gaze to the peak-grade frost iron. Heavens, where did you get so many moonstones? And this top-grade frost iron as well. This is simply unbelievable. Xiao Chun smiled in satisfaction. He found a piece of paper and drew the lunar shadow saber's design. After that, he handed it to Mo Fan and said, The design is like this. I wonder if I brought enough materials? Mo Fan received the paper and took a look. He felt somewhat helpless in his heart. This Xiao Chun did not draw a proper weapon blueprint. He only drew the original form of the lunar shadow saber. Young Master Xiao, this blueprint of yours is too crude. Furthermore, forgive me for speaking bluntly. The design of the saber is not very good. There are many areas that need to be improved. Should I change it? Xiao Chun was a little hesitant. The style of this lunar shadow saber was what he liked the most. The lunar shadow saber was similar to the katanas in the anime, unlike the Zamadeo, which had a bulky design. It was a streamlined design, which was rare among swords. As a former otaku, he had a special interest in this area, so he really did not want to change it too much. When Mo Fan saw that Xiao Chun was somewhat hesitant, he said, How about this? I'll draw another sketch. Mo Fan saw that Xiao Chun hesitating and said, Xiao Chun spirit Xiao Chun Fan. The more Xiao Chun watched from the side, the redder he blushed. This Mo Fan sketch was much more formal than his. After half an hour, Mo Fan finished drawing and handed it to Xiao Chun. Not only was the length, width, and thickness of the drawing clearly indicated, there were also simple notes on the materials used. Afraid that Xiao Chun would not understand, Mo Fan explained, Young Master Xiao, the lunar shadow saber that you used earlier, according to the drawing, was only 2 meters long. I increased it to 6 meters. The longer the saber, the greater the advantage it would have in battle. However, many blacksmiths would not increase the length of the saber when facing this type of saber. This was because the longer the saber, the more difficult it would be to control the flow of the saber. Thus, it would destroy the overall image and flow of the saber. Thus, most blacksmiths would avoid making the saber longer than 2 meters. Mo Fan continued, There is no need to make too many changes to the width. For this type of saber, the standard width is 2 fingers wide. However, this saber is 6 meters long. Thus, I suggest increasing the width by half a finger. That way, it will not look too thin due to the length of the saber and affect its aesthetics. Mo Fan explained the changes that he made. Furthermore, the improved saber was even more tyrannical than the original lunar shadow saber. It was not inferior to the Grim Reaper's beheading moon. The more Xiao Chun looked at it, the more satisfied he felt. He smiled. Big brother Mo, I will do as you say. That's right. What materials do I lack? I still have time. I will send them over in a few days. Mo Fan said, That depends on what grade of spirit weapon you want to forge and if there are any special requirements. Xiao Chun did not expect there to be such a way, so he asked Mo Fan for help. Mo Fan explained. Spirit weapons were divided into 4 grades: Heaven, Earth, Profound, and Yellow. Each grade could be further divided into 3 smaller grades: Superior Grade, Medial Grade, and Inferior Grade. Above Heaven ranked were Subdivine Weapons and Divine Weapons. There were a total of 10 divine weapons in the Tianwu continent. Every time a new divine weapon was born, an old divine weapon would fall. After explaining the basics to Xiao Chun, Mo Fan continued. No matter what grade of spirit weapon it is, it can be embedded with a demonic core of the corresponding attribute according to the requirements of the cultivator. The demonic core was the inner core of a demonic beast. The demonic chi of a spirit beast was contaminated by demonic chi. Compared to a spirit beast, there was a huge change. The biggest change was in the spirit beast's inner core. The spirit beast's inner core was originally a gentle item that nourished essence. After becoming a demonic beast, the inner core would become a demonic core. It was filled with a violent energy and had a strange connection with the world. When it was embedded in a spirit weapon, it could give the spirit weapon a strong energy, possessing the attribute of the demonic core. When Xiao Chun heard this, he said, "According to what you said, I am currently lacking a lightning-attributed demonic core. That's not right." Mo Fan nodded his head and said, "However, Ao Jiao already told me earlier. Actually, I happen to have a rank 6 demonic core of the Thunder Rock. I can give it to you first. Treat it as me repaying you for your kindness." When Xiao Chun heard this, he was incomparably happy. However, when he thought about it carefully, he felt that something was strange. This Mo Fan had said so much earlier. It seemed like his goal was to give this demonic core to him. Xiao Chun looked at Ao Jiao and discovered that she was looking at him innocently. Her gaze was abnormally pure. Xiao Chun felt a headache and decided not to think about it. Xiao Chun said, "Since you are not lacking anything, when can you complete it?" Mo Fan thought for a while and said, "Young Master Xiao, if you want to be fast, you can complete it today. However, you have to help me. If you're not in a rush, I'll be able to send it over in 3 days." Since he could be fast, it was naturally better to be fast. Such a good spirit weapon was something that he wanted to obtain immediately. If he had to wait for 3 days, wouldn't that just leave him in suspense? Xiao Chun seemed to have thought of something and said, "That's right. After talking for so long, I don't think I've mentioned what grade of spirit weapon I want to forge." Mo Fan tidied up the moonstones and peak-grade frost iron on the ground and said casually, "With so many moonstones, of course it will be a superior grade heaven-ranked one." Superior grade heaven-ranked. Xiao Chun was startled in his heart. It had been a few hundred years since a heaven-ranked spirit weapon had appeared in the continent. One of the reasons was the lack of moonstones, but another reason was the lack of skills of the blacksmiths. In these few hundred years, there should have been people who had accumulated enough moonstones to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. However, the reason why no heaven-ranked spirit weapon had appeared was definitely due to the lack of skilled blacksmiths. From what Xiao Chun knew, the only people in the Tianwu continent who could forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon were the disciples of the Haotian sect. These disciples of the Haotian sect had a mysterious bloodline flowing in their bodies. Their martial spirit was born as a Haotian hammer. Every disciple of the Haotian sect was a natural-born divine blacksmith. In reality, the few divine blacksmiths in the continent were all the inheritors of the Haotian hammer. This was an advantage that came from their bloodline. Outsiders could not have it and could only be envied. However, it was this talent that brought them a calamity. According to the legends, 600 years ago, a holy land that had existed since the Tianwu dynasty wanted them to forge a new divine weapon for them. Since ancient times, the Haotian sect's ancestors had taught them that the Haotian sect could never forge a divine weapon while they were still alive. At most, they could only forge a subdivine weapon. Because of this strange ancestral teaching, the Haotian sect rejected the Holy Land's request. After that, the Haotian sect no longer existed in this world. In the past few hundred years, no new heaven-ranked spirit weapon had appeared in the Tianwu continent. At this moment, Xiao Chun had casually said a few words, and Mo Fan wanted to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Could it be that he thought that his forging skills were comparable to those of the Haotian sect? Xiao Chun suppressed the doubts in his heart and followed Mo Fan out of the back door of the shop. Behind the shop was a courtyard. Mo Fan brought Xiao Chun and continued to walk forward. After passing through a few small houses, Mo Fan stopped in front of Stone House. He took out the key to the stone house from his bosom. With a clang sound, the stone door was gently pushed open by Mo Fan. The room was pitch black. Because the house was built in a dark place, the sunlight from the outside could not shine in. Mo Fan lit up an oil lamp and opened up a secret passage. He said apologetically, "Inside the forging room. Because the temperature is too high, I built it underground. We still have to walk for a while." Xiao Chen nodded to express his understanding. He followed Mo Fan's footsteps and walked down the steps of the stone house. Half an hour later, a huge stone room appeared in front of Xiao Chen. In the stone room, there were all sorts of forging tools. In the middle of the room, there was a huge furnace that attracted everyone's attention. Beside the furnace was a huge vat. When Xiao Chen walked in to take a look, he discovered that the vat was filled with a kind of black water. It looked like ink, but it was not ink at all. It was pitch black, but if one looked carefully, its brightness was not dazzling. Instead, it was very reserved. This was a contradictory existence. Xiao Chen had never seen such a strange water before. He could not help but ask, "What is in this vat?" Mo Fan was currently cleaning up the basement that he had not used for a long time. He did not have the time to answer Xiao Chen's question. Ao Jiao said, "This is the water of the Yellow Springs. It is the most suitable water for quenching in the world." Yellow Springs? Xiao Chen shivered and quickly took a few steps back from the water vat. The main reason was that the legends of the Yellow Springs on Earth were too deeply rooted in his heart. He could not help but take a few steps back. Ao Jiao looked at Xiao Chen strangely. She asked, "What's wrong with you? Did you get frightened by the Yellow Springs?" Although he had indeed been frightened by the Yellow Springs, this was not the time to admit it. Xiao Chen said calmly, "How could that be possible?" "That's right, big brother Mo. Is there anything you need my help with?" Chapter 55. By the time Xiao Chen and Mo Fan cleaned up the secret room that they had not used for a long time, it was already half an hour later. After Mo Fan checked the furnace again, he said solemnly, "I'm going to start the fire. Listen to my command and pull the bellows." Xiao Chen nodded and slowly walked to the front of the bellows. He grasped the handle made of wood and iron with both hands. A cool feeling came from the wooden handle. "Begin!" The flame in the furnace suddenly rose up. In a split second, the entire underground room was filled with heat waves. However, what was strange was that this secret room seemed to have undergone an ingenious design. This secret chamber seemed to have undergone an ingenious design. After the heat waves circled in the air, they slowly dissipated and were evenly distributed throughout the secret chamber. Furthermore, there was a cool breeze coming from the ventilation holes. Although the underground room was still extremely hot, it was not unbearable. Xiao Chen discarded the distracting thoughts in his heart and grabbed the wooden handle and pulled back. Chi! Chi! Something strange happened. Xiao Chen was astonished to discover that he had only pulled back a few centimeters before he could no longer pull it back. He was astonished. What is going on? No matter how weak I am, I still have the strength of a medial-grade martial disciple. Could it be that I can't even pull this small bellows? The flame in the furnace slowly died down. Mo Fan quickly looked in Xiao Chen's direction and could not help but feel anxious. "Young Master Xiao, why are you not doing anything? The flame in the furnace is about to be extinguished. This furnace of mine is not an ordinary furnace. Every time I light it, it consumes a large amount of spirit stones. I cannot waste them." Xiao Chen was very anxious. However, no matter how much strength he used, the bellows would not budge. Sweat continuously dripped from his forehead. What is going on? What exactly is going on? Mo Fan seemed to have understood something. He quickly came over to tell Xiao Chen some of the tricks behind this. Ao Jiao suddenly stopped him. "Now is not the time for you to be distracted. Watch the furnace carefully and prepare to place the moonstone in. I will teach him." "Oh!" Xiao Chen suddenly felt something soft on the back of his head. It felt very comfortable. In the scorching hot basement, there was actually a cool feeling that calmed one's mind. "Idiot, this bellows can't be moved by brute force. You have to follow the flow of air and exert your strength. Otherwise, no matter how much strength you have, you won't be able to move it. And if you exert too much strength, you will destroy the bellows." Xiao Chan smelled a fragrant breeze. Ao Jiao, who was floating in the air, was leaning closely behind him. A pair of proud and firm breasts pressed against the back of his head, and two slender arms slowly rested on his hands. He controlled the wooden handle and slowly pulled the bellows with his arm. With a boom, a huge flame rose from the furnace, and the temperature of the entire basement suddenly doubled. However, Xiao Chen's heart felt incomparably cool. At this moment, Ao Jiao's voice was much gentler than usual, like the coolest summer wind in the world, slowly moving the young man's impetuous heart. Slowly forgetting the softness on the back of his head, under Ao Jiao's guidance, Xiao Chan pulled the wooden handle of the bellows unhurriedly. Unknowingly, Ao Jiao had already slowly moved away from behind Xiao Chan. She looked at Mo Fan, who was in front of the furnace, in a daze. Mo Fan took out a piece of moonstone from behind him and muttered, "What a waste. When a normal person refines a spirit weapon, they only need a bit of moonstone powder." Yet, he actually threw it piece by piece into the furnace. If it wasn't for the lack of other rare materials, with so many moonstones, it would be more than enough to forge a subdivine weapon. Ao Jiao stared at the moonstones that were continuously falling into the furnace, and the scene in front of her started to become blurry. 1,000 years ago, it was the same scene. A talented youth brought a huge amount of moonstones and went to the Haotian sect alone. Because of his strong charisma, the current sect leader of the Haotian sect personally went down the mountain to receive him, and personally forged the subdivine weapon, the Thunderwood Sword, for him. When the five-colored light soared into the sky, a strong spiritual energy enveloped the entire Haotian sect. Within a circumference of 100 miles, the overflowing sword intent could be felt. Everyone knew that the sixth subdivine weapon in the past 1,000 years had been born. She was born from the seven-colored red light. She was as pure and holy as a fairy from the heavens. Her flawless face seemed to have a trace of immaturity and blankness. The newborn just stood there quietly. Her somewhat immature face made her look like a child. However, all of this could not hide her pride. She just looked at the world without saying a word. Within a circumference of 1,000 miles, the 108,000 spirit weapons trembled because of her appearance. It was because she was the king of swords, the king of these 108,000 spirit weapons. Although she was just born, she could not hide her pride. "Since I was born, I am the king. All the ordinary weapons have to kneel and pay their respects to me, because I am the king of swords. I am the subdivine weapon, the Thunder King Mulberry Sword. No one can stop me." She carried the mulberry sword and flew up into the sky, leaving behind a large expanse of light. The divine weapon is flying. She is going to choose her master. Astonished voices came from all directions, but most of them were incomparably happy. No one would have thought that this newborn Thunderwood Sword would actually be so proud, wanting to choose its own master. However, this also gave them a chance. If they could subdue it, then they would become the master of this subdivine weapon. Subdivine weapon, the dream of all the martial artists in the world. However, that peerless person did not give them any chance. He only gave them 3 seconds to think. They only saw him fly up into the sky, like a rock spreading its wings. He was faster than lightning and instantly grasped the Thunderwood Sword in his hand. Sang Mu, who had landed, laughed loudly. His eyes were filled with unconcealable surprise. He said, "What a proud sword. From today onwards, you'll be called Ao Jiao. I, Sang Mu, will definitely be someone who will make you feel proud." The temperature in the basement was getting higher and higher. No matter how exquisite the design was, when the furnace was completely ignited, the temperature neared 1,000 degrees Celsius. No matter what, it would not be able to completely dissipate the heat. Xiao Qin's clothes were already completely drenched. On the other hand, Mo Fan had already taken off the clothes on his upper body, revealing his firm muscles. Xiao Chan wiped the sweat off his forehead. He only felt that his entire body was incomparably hot. The entire basement was like an oven. He felt that if he continued to stay here, he would be roasted alive. However, it was already the crucial moment. Mo Fan was currently using the secret technique of a forging master to stir the boiling molten iron in the furnace. There were only a few pieces of moonstones left in the pile beside him. He absolutely could not stop at this moment. Once he stopped, all his previous efforts would be wasted. The heaven-ranked spirit weapon in his hands would be completely useless. However, it was really too hot. Xiao Chan felt as though he was about to faint. He weakly pushed the bellows, as though he would collapse at any moment. Just at this moment, a cool breeze blew from behind Xiao Chan. This cool breeze blew into Xiao Chen's heart, dispersing the heat in his body. It dispelled the heat in his body. His heart felt refreshed, and his body felt extremely comfortable. Although he could not turn his head, Xiao Chan could guess that this cool breeze came from Ao Jiao. A warm feeling welled up in Xiao Chen's heart. This lass, who would have thought that even though her mouth was so venomous, she still had a little bit of conscience. That's right, other than conscience, this lass was really big. Thinking back to the scene from before, Xiao Chen's body actually had a reaction. Damn it, what was I thinking about? Xiao Chan smacked his head fiercely. His state of mind finally calmed down, and he continued to push the bellows with all his might. Time passed second by second, minute by minute. Every time Xiao Chan was about to collapse, a cool breeze would blow from behind him, sweeping away all the fatigue in his body, filling him with energy once again. A large pile of moonstones was finally placed into the furnace. The surface of the boiling furnace was filled with molten moonstones. The entire surface of the furnace was filled with molten moonstones. Droplets of molten iron jumped up from the surface of the furnace. Mo Fan carefully observed the molten iron in the furnace. The surging heat waves did not seem to be able to cause him any trouble. The entire furnace was emitting the unique yellow glow of the moonstones. Mo Fan's expression was grave as he took out the peak-grade frost iron. A chi whirlpool appeared on his left hand, and the molten iron in the furnace started to spin rapidly. An even more horrifying heat wave spread out in all directions. Plop! When the molten iron was about to form an extreme whirlpool, Mo Fan quickly placed the peak-grade frost iron into the eye of the whirlpool, causing a small splash of molten iron to splash out. The peak-grade frost iron started to melt slowly. The yellow glow and the black glow of the frost iron slowly intertwined and fused. In the end, when the frost iron had completely melted, the yellow glow had completely disappeared, and the molten iron had turned into a pure black glow. Mo Fan saw that the time had come, and he shouted loudly. He placed his left palm on top of the furnace, and a huge suction force was emitted from his palm. The molten iron in the furnace started to churn unceasingly, gathering in the air. The sweat on Mo Fan's forehead dripped down continuously like rain. However, at this moment, he did not care about it at all. He looked at the molten iron gathering in his palm with a nervous expression. Finally, the molten iron in the furnace was completely sucked into the air, forming a metal ball the size of a soccer ball. It emitted a terrifying heat wave as it continuously spun. Pooh! At this moment, a resplendent light suddenly lit up in Ao Jiao's hand. In the next moment, a light shot out from her hand and flew into the metal ball. Mo Fan said in shock, "This is the Battle Sage Origin." The Battle Sage Origin was the strongest offensive origin chi in the world. A spirit weapon that it could produce the strongest Battle Sage attack in the world. According to the legends, the Battle Saint Origin was split into 6 parts. Each part represented a different interpretation of the attacking technique. The 6 parts of the Battle Sage Origin were respectively embedded in 6 different sub-divine weapons. It was said that if these 6 divine weapons were put together, the Battle Sage Origin would be able to form a new divine weapon. However, since ancient times, in the tens of thousands of years of history of the Tianmu continent, there had only been 10 divine weapons. As for the authenticity of this legend, no one knew if it was true or false. This was because no one had ever been able to put these 6 sub-divine weapons together. Chapter 56. Mo Fan withdrew his thoughts and took out his left hand. The metal ball in the air gave off a resplendent glow as he squinted his eyes. Mo Fan took out a pair of golden silk gloves and slowly wore them on his left hand. It was unknown what material the golden silk gloves were made of. When Mo Fan wore them, he was able to hold the metal ball that was giving off a horrifying heat wave. Chi! Chi! The metal ball gave off intense friction when it touched the golden silk gloves. Green smoke came from it. It was clear how horrifying the heat of the metal ball was. However, the golden silk gloves did not melt. Mo Fan frowned as he held the metal ball. He quickly went to the metal platform at the side and placed the metal ball firmly on it. Boom! Suddenly, a golden hammer appeared in his right hand. There was a flash of light, and the golden hammer struck the metal ball ferociously. One had to strike while the iron was hot. It was a very simple principle. Mo Fan held the golden hammer and continuously struck the metal ball. A visible light wrapped around the golden hammer. Every time it struck, there would be a resplendent golden light in the basement. The piercing golden light made it hard for people to open their eyes. Slowly, Mo Fan's entire body was covered in a layer of golden light. Hao-Ian hammer. It really is the Hao-Ian hammer. At this moment, Xiao Chun had nothing else to do. He leaned against the wall and looked at the golden hammer in Mo Fan's hand in disbelief. The Hao-Ian hammer was the legendary golden hammer that could turn something rotten into something magical. It was a weapon that blacksmiths yearned for even in their dreams. Unfortunately, this was a power that came from the bloodline. It could only be obtained after awakening the Hao-Ian martial spirit. It was impossible for outsiders to obtain it. This was completely out of Xiao Chen's expectations. He did not expect that there was a successor of the Hao-Ian sect in this world. No wonder he could easily say that he wanted to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. For a person who had awakened the Hao-Ian hammer, as long as they had sufficient materials, it would be extremely easy to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen's heart surged. After working so hard for so long, if he could obtain a true heaven-ranked spirit weapon, it would definitely be worth it. Because Ao Jiao had injected the Battle Sage origin into the metal ball, it was several times harder than a regular metal ball. Only after being hammered a few thousand times did it start to slowly change shape. His left hand, which was wearing a gold-threaded glove, kept changing the position of the iron block. While his right hand was hammering the iron block, his left hand still had to control it precisely. It was difficult for an ordinary person to do two things at the same time. Usually at this time, two people would cooperate. However, Mo Fan was able to do it by himself. This could only mean that the successor of the Hao-Ian hammer had talent in this aspect. No one else could catch up to him. When the golden light flickered a few thousand times, the resplendent piece of metal finally had the rough shape of a saber. Mo Fan flicked his finger and shot the 6th level lightning, a tribute demonic core into it. Bang! With a loud bang, the Hao-Ian hammer ruthlessly struck the spot where the demon nucleus had just been embedded. An incomparably bright light lit up, and the whole basement was filled with golden light. Xiao Chen could no longer open his eyes. Then, the golden light disappeared, and a crackling electric light jumped up from the saber embryo. What a strong lightning attribute demonic core. Xiao Chen was secretly shocked. After shooting out the Battle Sage origin, a faint illusion appeared on Ao Jiao's body. She appeared to be extremely weak. Her gaze was fixed on the heavenly weapon that was about to take shape. The scene in front of her became blurry again. Under the scorching sun, in the desolate desert, a black-clothed man who was riddled with scars held a broken sword in his hand. He slowly walked on the yellow sand, leaving behind deep footprints. "Wooden Master, am I going to die soon?" Suddenly, a girl's voice came from the broken sword. The black-clothed man's body was filled with terrifying sword wounds. With every step he took, fresh blood would drip from his body onto the yellow sand. Under the terrifyingly high temperature, his fresh blood did not split open. The continuous footprints left behind a path of blood in this desolate desert. The scorching sun hanging high in the sky made his figure look extremely sorrowful. When he heard the voice coming from the sword, a determined expression appeared on his face. A smile appeared on his pale face as he said, "You will not die. There is still 1 more kilometer before we reach the Phoenix's Passion Palace. Their palace master owes me a favor. I will borrow their divine stones to seal you up." A faint sound came from the broken sword. The girl inside seemed to be crying. Her voice was filled with incomparable sorrow. The black-clothed man suddenly stopped. His pale face revealed a pained expression as he said slowly, "Are you crying? I am really useless. To think that I made you cry." Above the 9 heavens, in the Phoenix's Passion Palace, sang Mu, "My father is in closed-door training. It is not convenient for him to see you. You should leave. Do you not want to see me, or do you not dare to see me?" The black-clothed man said indifferently, "I gave you face, but you rejected it. You are a person who is about to die, and you actually came here to ask for divine stones. What a joke. Quickly scram. If you still don't leave, don't blame me for being ruthless. To think that the Phoenix's Passion Palace, which has been passed down for over 10,000 years, cannot even keep its promise. How unexpected. However, I will be taking this spiritual sense today. You are seeking death. You actually dared to kill me." Before the young palace master of the Phoenix's Passion Palace finished speaking, a bloody hole suddenly appeared between her eyebrows. She looked at Sang Mu with her eyes wide open. The young palace master had not expected that a person who was about to die would actually dare to attack her. Sang Mu looked calmly at the fallen young palace master of the Phoenix's Passion Palace. He said indifferently, "Since you do not wish to give it to me, I will take it myself." In Seven-Horn Mountain, when Sang Mu returned to his cave after snatching back the divine stones, he was already on his last breath. He had a resolute expression as he looked at the broken sword in his hand. A bright light flashed as the broken sword stabbed into the divine stones. "I hope that after 1,000 years, you will find a master who will not make you cry." Just as he finished speaking, the vermilion bird's sacred seal that the Phoenix's Passion Palace master planted in his body exploded. There was a flash of intense flames, and a fiery red vermilion bird flew out of his body. The Thunder King, Sang Mu, turned into dust. Pucci. Mo Fan clapped his hands, and the netherworld yellow spring water in the large vat stirred up a wave, landing on the completed spirit weapon. After quenching the fire, the final step of the heavenly weapon was completed. When the netherworld yellow spring water scattered, a completely black saber suddenly appeared on the stone platform. Countless arcs of electricity were released from the saber. Everyone in the underground room could feel the horrifying might contained in the arcs of electricity. Xiao Chun even felt a slight tremble in his body. At the same time, dark clouds covered the sky above the smithy. Thunder rumbled unceasingly, and bolts of lightning crackled in the sky. This was the mysterious phenomenon of the birth of a heavenly weapon. Feeling the mysterious phenomenon, Mo Fan quickly said, "Young Master Xiao, quickly come over and claim ownership. Otherwise, this spirit weapon will become ownerless." Xiao Chun recovered his wits and quickly walked over. The spirit weapon on the metal platform had perfectly met Xiao Chen's requirements. The streamlined body of the saber seemed to be comparable to the heavenly locking moon beheading saber of the Grim Reaper. Looking at this newly born heaven-ranked spirit weapon, Xiao Chun suppressed the excitement in his heart and grasped it in his hand. In an instant, the arcs of electricity disappeared, and the black saber was filled with a reserved brilliance. The instant Xiao Chun grasped the saber hilt, the mysterious phenomenon outside the room immediately disappeared. The thick dark clouds scattered, and sunlight shone on the ground once again. What a good saber! I will call you Lunar Shadow. In the future, you will be my Lunar Shadow saber. I will not let you break again, Xiao Chun praised. Just at this moment, Xiao Chun suddenly discovered that the surrounding space started to distort. After a while, he discovered that he was on a desolate platform at the top of a mountain. Feeling like there was a pair of eyes staring at him from behind, Xiao Chun quickly turned his head around. He saw a pale, black-clothed man looking at him. Xiao Chun was startled. He had not felt anything when this man appeared behind him. Furthermore, he was just standing there quietly, giving Xiao Chun an unparalleled pressure. Xiao Chun quickly sent out his spiritual sense. However, he was shocked to discover that his spiritual sense could not be extended out of this space. However, he quickly calmed down. This was because he did not feel any killing intent from the man in front of him. "Who are you? Where's this place?" Xiao Chun asked that person suspiciously. That man looked at the lunar shadow saber in Xiao Chen's hand and slowly said, "Lunar Shadow, good name." In the next moment, the saber in Xiao Chen's hand suddenly appeared in that person's hand. Xiao Chun was startled. Just as he was about to make a move, he discovered that his body seemed to be locked down. He could not move at all. He could not even close his slightly open mouth. That person held the lunar shadow saber and made a strange posture. After that, he did not make any other moves. At the top of the mountain, the cold wind did not stop. It caused his hair to flutter, completely exposing his pale white face. Even though Xiao Chun was a man, he could not help but say in his heart that this was a man of unmatched talent. If he was on Earth, he would definitely be able to make those so-called male idols feel inferior. Slowly, Xiao Chun understood what the posture of the person in front of him meant. This was one of the stances of the battle sage origins. It was an attacking technique with thousands of variations. This person seemed to want to hand over the battle sage technique to him, to let him comprehend something. The strength of the person in front of him was definitely extraordinary. He could not miss out on this opportunity. Xiao Chun quickly calmed himself down and observed carefully. When he completely immersed himself in it, Xiao Chun found it strange that the person in front of him seemed to have moved. However, he was clearly standing at his original position and did not move at all. It seemed like an incomparably profound saber technique appeared in his mind. However, in the next moment, the originally powerful saber technique turned into a destructive sword technique. However, it turned into a sword technique that could destroy heaven and earth, and after a while, it turned into a spear technique that could shake heaven and earth like a torrential storm. When Xiao Chen's mind became clear, the scene in front of him changed to that of the man holding the saber, not moving at all. Xiao Chun tried to simulate a killing move in his mind to attack the person in front of him. However, every time he got close, it would be broken by the saber. No matter what kind of attack he used, it would be broken. Furthermore, he used an attack that was hundreds or thousands of times more ferocious. One move to break 10,000 techniques, one saber to shake the world. Xiao Chun flicked his finger and suddenly discovered that he could move again. The lunar shadow saber also returned to his hand. Xiao Chun quickly said, "Many thanks for Senior's guidance. Might I ask for Senior's great name?" That person did not answer Xiao Chun's question. He just minded his own business and said, "Battle Sage Origins attacking Qi. There's no need to struggle with weapons or moves. One move to break 10,000 techniques, one Qi to shake the world. Remember not to make her cry." After he said that, a huge thunder rock flew over from the foot of the mountain. That person jumped onto the thunder rock and flew far away. This strange space disappeared, and the scene in the underground room returned to Xiao Chen's vision.